Lord God, her name was Sally. She lived in the Kanawha Valley, just outside of Charleston,
West Virginia, abroad around us. West Virginia, abroad around us. Abroad around us. The gentleman's got the frauderizing. Got caught Skylark at a Parkersburg. Only river wobble water spark the herbs. Got the Braxton County Booker weed. Look at me with Tommy Wildfire out back cooking beef. Dingus, Stinkfinger, pinkest drink drinker. Rinky dink stink lingers on my blinky pink finger. Dead ringer for death eating.
Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a wonderful, beautiful day here in Lewisburg, West Virginia, and this is episode 6 of the Who is Dingus Stinkfinger podcast. It's 28 minutes after 12 on July 4th of 2019, so happy Independence Day, everybody. I got a little confused this morning, walked outside, and I had a few beers last night, so my eyesight was a little fuzzy, and first thing I saw was a groundhog walking past my house on the street, and I thought, geez, how did I get to Pittsburgh, and what's the weather going to be like for the next 6 weeks? But turns out it is, in fact, the 4th of July, which I'm happy about because that means all you guys are getting ready to go spend some time with your friends and your family, or hopefully spend some time with your friends and family and fire up the grill and jump in the pool and run down the slip and slide, maybe play some horseshoes or cornhole if you're not a fully developed grown male. Women can play horseshoes too. That's a dumb thing to say. My friend Season Jones is one of the best horseshoe players ever, so sorry for that little dumb statement. So me, myself, I'm going to go hang out with the Richardses for a little bit, Jeff and Bridget and Doc, and I think Charlie and Shay are going to be out there, and Jamie and Eagle, and of course their little rugrats will be running around. So going to go hang out there and then maybe head out to Swift Level Farm tonight, home of fine meats, and eat some food, drink some beer, light off some fireworks. You guys be real careful with the fireworks tonight. Don't blow your fingers off. I've seen it before at Songer Whitewater in like 2001. I think that guy blew all his fingers off. Apparently it was some crazy story. Like his dad was like the firework pro, but his dad got sick, and so his like 15-year-old son had to step up to the plate and do this firework display. And yeah, kid ended up blowing his fingers off, and all the fireworks stopped, and the fire trucks were out there, and everybody's in the field with their little flashlights and stuff. And when they finally made it over to where all the people were standing, we asked one of the firefighters, we're like, what were you guys looking out there in the field looking for? And he said, oh, we were looking for that kid's fingers. I was like, ooh, that's rough, G. And also don't put bottle rockets in your ass crack and try to shoot them off. I've seen that go poorly several times. So anyway, have a good one. Have a safe one. I wanted to talk to you guys. Oh, this breakfast I had today really kind of like reminded me about what I think is great about, America here, which is, I guess, what we're celebrating today. And that is the frittata that I made. I made a frittata, which, as you know, is just a bunch of different ingredients basically thrown into an egg type of concoction. And as I was looking down, I realized like I had ingredients from all over the country, all over the world in there. Obviously to start, the eggs are from, eggs are from all over. You can't really lock down a country that eggs come from. But I had the eggs, and usually I put sour cream in my eggs just to make them a little bit fluffy. And I didn't have any sour cream, but I had this leftover Alfredo sauce I made the other day. And so I just heated a little of that up and threw that in there and whisked it around. And, of course, Alfredo sauce originated in Italy. I had tomatoes that were grown in Florida. I had mushrooms grown in Tennessee. I had, some onions probably grown down in South Carolina, somewhere like that. Sweet peas I just picked out of my dad's garden yesterday right here in West Virginia. Parmesan cheese from Italy. I had Havarti cheese, which I thought Havarti was one of those Wisconsin cheeses, and as it turns out, it's from Denmark. Havarti cheese originated in Denmark. A young woman named Hanne Nielsen, who is Danish. She traveled throughout Europe in the 1800s to learn cheese-making techniques. So big shout out to Hanne. Thanks for living that cheese life. You were definitely a stinkfinger in your day. I'm sure you've been dead for a long time. But anyway, we give you a shout, a big old Dingus Stinkfinger shout, posthumously, if that's how you pronounce that word. Let's see. Anyway, what else was in the frittata? Oh, I had crab meat in the frittata. You know, crab comes from the ocean, and you know, I've always thought of the ocean as definitely part of the world, and even more, you know, specifically like part of our country. You know, because it borders so many states, and you know, I think you know, the residents of the ocean. And really, the only thing that makes the ocean not really like the other states is that there's no McDonald's. You know, I think if they built a franchise down there on the floor of the ocean, they'd be right in there, the 51st state. You know, so McDonald's, get on down there, build the residents of Ocean a friggin' franchise. Okay, they don't have one, and I hear they're getting salty about it. So, yeah, throw them a little bit of love, Mickey D's. Anyhow. So, yeah, I'm sitting there, and I'm eating this frittata, and it came out great. Here's a picture of it. I'll throw a picture of it for you. I took one on my phone because, you know, I'm cheesy like that. But I was eating this frittata, and, yeah, starting to think, like, yeah, this frittata is like, it's like America, man. It's made up of these people, these ingredients from all these different places all over the world, and I know we don't all necessarily see eye to eye on everything all the time. You know, I really appreciate all these different cultures and creeds and walks of life people live here in this country. I know some people don't, and I guess they're free to believe that, but I just think that's kind of a stupid mentality to have. You know, I know that there's a big thing going on down at the border. You know, right now, people trying to get into this country, and there's a lot of people upset about it. And, you know, I kind of think about it, you know, the people that were in this country before we took it over looked a lot like the people that live south of the border now. You know, I mean, we did our good fair share of murdering and killing and genocide and you know, moving people down south of the border. And, you know, so I feel that maybe, you know, those people, you know, kind of have the mentality like, hey, well, like my ancestors were from there, and that was my great grandparents' land, you know, way back in the day. And you know, we kind of think it's fucked up that you took it, and we wouldn't mind being able to walk back up in there without too much trouble. So I can kind of see where they're coming from with wanting to get their families moved up here and everything. And so it's, I mean, obviously a more complicated issue than my little broad statement about it. But you know, I feel like any one of us would have that kind of mentality. You know, I mean, you would, if your ancestors had been pushed out of some land, and you know, there was all these people saying, get out, you know, stay out, whatever, you know, you'd be like, well, fuck you then, dude. You know, it's like when the Cubs won the World Series, right? They hadn't won it for, you know, 103 years or something like that. And then, you know, the Cubs finally win the World Series against I think it was the Indians, actually, which is kind of good for the analogy we're making here. But, you know, they beat the Indians, and it wasn't like the Cubs just got to say, well, we've been fighting for it for a long time, and now we got it, so that's it. No more World Series, you know, we just get to keep it. No, you know, the Indians wanted their shot to come back and fight for the pennant again, and, you know, that's kind of the way the world works, you know. It's, you know, the occupants of this country like fought to get it way back in the day, but we had to do a lot of fucked up nasty shit, and other people still upset about it. So anyway, obviously we have a long ways to go, but as far as figuring all that shit out. But you know, anyway, I know there's a lot of people on both sides down there, and they're having just a terrible time, and so we wish them the best. Hope that somehow they figure out a way to have a decent day and just get all this sorted out, and we can move on with our lives. So anyway, guys, I'll go ahead and get the podcast started. It was a very fun one. Jozalyn Sharp had come out here from Las Vegas. She did 3 nights of comedy, the Burrito Bar in Lansing, West Virginia. We went to the Bacova Beer Company in Hot Springs, Virginia. And then we did our big show, Laughing with the Ladies, here in Lewisburg, West Virginia. And all 3 were a great time. You know, the turnouts were what they were. The first 2 nights, we turned them into good laughing crowds. And then our our show here in Lewisburg. The turnout was amazing. The mayor showed up. She brought a little entourage. Everybody had a great time. All my comedians absolutely killed. So big shout to Lindsey Williams from Charleston, West Virginia. Lorraine, who came up from Newport News, who I got to be on her show a few months ago down there at Kazi's Comedy Club, and so we kind of hooked up through those means, and now we're like friends in comedy, so I hope we get to work more together down the road. Also, Dwayne Duke, who was a friend of mine in Jozalyn's from out in Las Vegas, he came down from Cleveland, Ohio, and entertained the hell out of that crowd. He absolutely killed, and then, of course, Joz got up and just tore it apart. So it was a very, very fun night. Joz and I had a pretty exhausting 3 days. I didn't let her just loaf around during the day. I had her out the Blue Hole, and we were checking out waterfalls and going to, different places to eat and stuff. And so by the time we shot the podcast, we were both a little bit whooped from the weekend. We had some great discussions during the weekend. I mean, just really, really kind of deep stuff. I think once we got to talking and we got a few drinks on us and turned the camera on, we both just sort of wanted to wind down a little bit. So this is definitely a more casual conversation. And I realized, yes, I have a lot to learn about how to interview people and how to do this whole thing. Of course, when you're in the room with Jozalyn, she didn't need much guidance as far as what to say. She can definitely go into a subject and just say her piece about it and keep it funny and interesting. And so it was great. We had a good time. And so I'm going to kick that off for you. Before we go, just want to say thanks to our one and only sponsor, Alpha Music in Lewisburg, West Virginia. If you have any need for an instrument or an instrument to be repaired, sound system installation, sound engineering at live shows, lessons, any of that stuff, be sure to go see Charlie and Dan and Rusty down there at Alpha Music. And also want to thank all our new subscribers. I think a month and a half ago, I had 0 subscribers to this YouTube channel. The last episode I shot, we had 5, and we're up to 20. So get on there, put that little mouse button right on top of the subscribe button and merge the two and make it happen. And also you can turn on the notifications so that you'll be given alert every time there is a new Who is Dingus Stinkfinger podcast up on the air. So we really appreciate you guys tuning in, and we hope you enjoy what we have for you here. And also, if you have any questions that you want us to answer here on the podcast or any suggestions, you can go to the website, whoisdingusstinkfinger.com, and go to the contact page, and you can email me directly from there with any ideas, any suggestions, any thoughts, whatever. We'd love to share your stuff on here. So, guys, in the meantime, have a great 4th of July, and take care. We'll see you next time. Bye. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is June 31st. Or is it, wait, it's the 30th? There's only 30 days in June.
Yeah.
Fuck. It's June 30th of 2019. We're here. It's another beautiful night in Lewisburg, West Virginia. Got a very, very special guest on the podcast this evening. She is a friend of mine and a fellow comedian. She flew out here from Las Vegas last Thursday and has been doing a great job of entertaining us out here on the East Coast. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Jozalyn Sharp. How are you this evening?
I'm good.
You
How
good?
are you? Yeah.
I'm doing well, yeah.
I'm tired. We already talked about that today.
Yeah, I'm a little beat from the last 3 days, but
Yeah.
I think we put in some good work, We got a lot done,
There was a lot of stuff. I mean, we met a lot of people. It was super fun.
Yeah.
I had a really good time. I didn't know what to expect, I kind of did because these are mostly the type of states that I tour because I'm a nobody, you know. So I tour like rural America most of the time.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew what to expect, but I also, you never know. Like sometimes you end up in towns where I ended up in a town once where there was not even any kind of corporate chain. Mm-hmm. So I didn't even know where to go to eat or what to do. And it's such a crapshoot to eat at a place that's not a corporate chain when you're on the road.
Right.
Unless I'm with you and you're eat here.
Yeah.
Or I know a local. I don't roll the dice anymore.
Sure, yeah, it makes sense, yeah.
So you never fucking know.
How have you been enjoying the food out here, though?
It's been really good.
Yeah.
It's been really, it's been about what I expected. Everything's been full of butter.
Yeah, full of butter, lots of fucking carbs, and all that shit.
But everything was delicious. I mean, but you cooked for me a couple times, so it's not even like we ate out that,
I guess that's
that
true,
much,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah. But you did have your first Tudor's biscuit.
I had a Tudor's biscuit, which was delicious, and I am going to be really sad that I can't get those in Vegas, because that was like my favorite. I might make you take me to get one tomorrow before I leave town.
Absolutely. And I'm still toying with the idea of setting up a franchise out there.
Man, it would kill in Vegas. People would love that when they're hungover. It's one of the best breakfast sandwiches I've had.
Yeah.
It's somehow that biscuit is like so flaky and like you want your biscuit to almost like crumble in your hands.
Right.
But it stays together.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so
and it's
good.
just salty and
yummy.
delicious.
Yeah, it was so good.
So it was your first Tudor's biscuit. You saw your first waterfall.
I saw my first waterfall in person, which was so cool. And I'm like really, this was like I'm exhausted because I have really bad anxiety, so I'm scared of everything. But I've been on this thing where I'm like, I don't want to be scared of it. And we kind of talked about it, that I've been going to therapy because I'm tired of being afraid of everything.
Right.
And so I didn't want to be like, normally I would have just been like, no, I think I'll just hang out at the house all day so I could be a hermit and not have to deal with uncomfortable situations.
Right.
But you had suggested all these things, so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go fucking do it. Like, normally I wouldn't have walked even over to that waterfall. Like, that's... The height for me was like...
Really?
Because the waterfall's to people who don't know what we're talking about, the waterfall's across from us, across this gulch that we're standing on the other side of. I would normally stand on that other side and just get progressively more anxious, and I kind of did towards the end. I kind of just walked towards the car when I started to feel like
I noticed that you took that picture and then you were like, we're done here, Ian.
Yeah,
all right, we're going. But
so it doesn't seem like I really experienced it, but it was a really great experience for me because I never would have made it that far normal.
Well, I'm awesome. I think it's awesome that you did go out there and check it out, and that you've just been kind of open to doing new things. Like
I felt super safe with you. Like I knew you weren't going to take me anywhere that I was going to be in danger at. Although you told me some stories later on that I was like, okay, this motherfucker has a whole nother level of danger than I thought.
Conception of
hanging
what danger
off of
is.
bridges and shit.
Yeah, doing sex
we went and
on
saw
the
that
New River
bridge.
Gorge
That bridge was so cool.
Yeah, the New River Gorge Bridge. And then what other firsts did you have? You had...
I had a lot of firsts.
Yeah.
It was my first time performing in front of the first African-American female mayor of
Bev
West
White.
Virginia.
Big up. Congrats, Bev, on
I
the new
performed in
election.
front of her and had to have a mental breakdown the whole time about how I was performing in front of her.
You did great, though, and she loved the show. She's a big supporter of the show.
She was so wonderful. She was so nice to me. She came up afterwards and told me how funny she thought I was, and I was like, man, I need to move to West Virginia. Because
well, we'd love to have you, obviously, and you're welcome anytime.
If any political person in Vegas showed up to one of my shows, they'd probably be like, ban her from Vegas.
Oh, it'd be like Scandal all over the
She's
place.
not allowed
They'd be
to
on
do
the
comedy.
tabloids. No, yeah.
Crazy feminist.
I would think they'd get in more trouble than you would. They'd be like, scandalous mayor goes to see Jozalyn.
Right, that's what I was saying. And I was I posted a picture of me and Mayor White today, and I was like, I don't know if she wants to be associated with me.
No. You know what I really was bummed about? Bev was totally... She'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
What I was bummed about is that we didn't get a picture with her and all of us. Because I think, that, I could probably sent that to the local paper and it would have made the paper.
Well, Dwayne and I both got pictures with her.
Yeah, I got those. And I think Lorraine got a picture with her.
Yeah, I think Lorraine did too. She was so cool. I mean, she literally was I was texting my husband. I was like, what a cool experience. I mean, I kept telling you this the whole time here, but I'm trying very hard to be present, and part of being present for me is talking about the experience as it happens. It kind of pulls you into the moment.
Right.
And I'm standing in the back of the venue, and I'm texting my husband, and there's the mayor just slouched back in this chair, eating barbecue chips and drinking a Stella.
Right.
And I'm like, this is the freaking mayor!
Yeah, with the crew, too. She brought an entourage.
She brought an
entourage,
and her entourage, they were some of the best audience members in the back.
Yeah, no, they were killing it. And she actually was when I found out she was coming and she said she was bringing some people, that's why I set those two big tables in the back, because I was like, I need some good banter coming from behind the scenes. But they all had a blast. I mean, they really enjoyed it, and so it was
I made fun of some locals that everyone knew.
Yeah, so. Diva and her husband Todd got a pretty good smack now from the hand and mouth of
I don't know what it is
Sharp.
about me, but I can pick people out I have like this special talent where I can pick people out in the crowd, and it's always the right person.
Right.
I don't know if maybe it's just I'm good at improvising with whatever I get. That might be more likely than magic, but
Right.
I think I have a magic power where I always pick the person in the audience with like the juiciest story.
Yeah, and it did. Like I was watching it last night, and even when we were in Hot Springs,
Same
it seemed like
thing.
existential. You were just like, it was like a sixth sense. You're like, all
That
right.
guy.
And you saw the way that they reacted, and you're like, now you're fucking getting.
Well,
third
and it was
degree,
more
whatever,
like
you know?
I was having such a good time with them because that's how I show affection to people. That's how I always have been. If I'm not comfortable with someone, I'm really comfortable like ribbing people. Like I like to give waiters and waitresses a hard time.
Right.
Like not in a mean way, but like I'll do shit like we were at Dave and Buster's and the waitress brought my husband his sundae and she like passed it across Gooch, my friend, and his wife to get to us. And I grabbed it before she could say anything, and she went, "This is yours, right?" And I went, "No, but thanks for not saying anything." And it's just I like to fuck with them. It's my grandpa does it. I think that's where I get it from. But
Yeah.
that's kind of how I like show affection to people.
Sure, yeah.
It's like,
If we didn't like you, we wouldn't fuck with you type.
yeah, kind of. And the reason I picked on Richard in Hot Springs is because first of all I picked on Richard because he was wearing a freaking tailored blazer in the front row
yeah,
at a
he's
brewery.
snazzy dresser.
Yeah.
And he's
He
one of
stood-
the top dogs over at the Homestead Hotel.
He
so,
stood out like a sore thumb in that
yeah.
room. Like,
and there was a lot of like employees from the hotel
Yes.
that were there, and they were like, "Damn, she is giving it to Richard right now. Like you were their hero."
they're never gonna let him hear
Yeah.
the last of it because I made several jokes about his jizz habits.
Yeah, I feel like that is going to resonate through that little town for quite a while. So, but
And
we
it
were
was really
talking-
fun. I mean, these crowds were like super fun. Some of my favorite crowds I've had. What's interesting is people are always scared to come to like what is considered southern or progressively more conservative states, especially as comics.
Right.
Most comics lean more towards the the left, and I'm more of I identify politically as a moderate publicly.
There it
I
is,
would
right
just-
there.
I would just like to say, but I think politics is garbage, and I think that that two-party system makes us not think of people as people,
it's a joke,
and
yeah.
it's bad.
It's ridiculous, yeah.
But what people I think a lot of comics were like, oh, good luck in West Virginia, but I was so excited because I knew the crowds out here, like the stuff that they didn't like, they know how to react to it. They're good comedy crowds in that if they're not interested in hearing you talk about something, they just don't laugh at it.
Right.
They just don't laugh at it.
Right.
I didn't get heckled once, like the whole time I was here.
Right.
I get heckled almost every show in Las Vegas.
Is that right? Yeah.
I have a shaved head, I have purple hair, I have all these tattoos and piercings.
Somebody's going to say something.
I'm a loudmouth girl. Like,
Yeah.
there's always some, like, 45-year-old dude from, like, bumfuck Nebraska who's like, I don't fucking like this shit.
Right.
You
Just
know?
got to say something. Well, I will
Yeah.
say that, like, I think...
Well, and I was very surprised how even gentrified feeling Lewisburg and these smaller towns are feeling. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that gentrification and the new generations have had such a profound effect on even these small of economies.
Sure, yeah. I think as far as, having good crowds out here, and this is something that I feel comfortable bringing you guys out, you know, with you and Dave and Tim Lulis came up from Virginia Beach, because I know that these little towns are going to, they're treating you as a guest. They're not looking at you as like entertainment. They're like, oh, this is our new friend who just happens to be
Well, that's
funny
how
as shit up there. And
everyone treated me, and I fucking loved it. And
Yeah.
I made a lot of genuine new friends, both in comedy and like in life. Like I think when I go back to Hot Springs, Virginia, like I'm gonna go to Bacova Beer Co. and I'm gonna talk to Seth, and I'm gonna talk to his wife Emily, and I'm gonna hang out, and like these are all the things that I'm gonna want to go back and see these people. Just like going down to Wild Bean and talking to what was his name, Roger at Wild Bean, like there's all these wonderful places that we went to that I just really had such a good time. And man, what a great time at Burrito Bar too. Like at first we had we're like, I don't know, it's like such a light turnout. And then I don't know that I have lucked out both. I noticed at Bacova and at Burrito Bar, the sun set right before my set. Mm-hmm. So it was like everybody else's sets was in the light, and then when it was dark, it was my turn to go
you
up
were on deck,
stage. Yeah. Which was
Oh.
great. It kind of timed perfectly. But when we were at Burrito Bar, freaking lightning bugs were all around. It was like the most magical comedy I've ever done. There's all these people. I was having such a great time with that crowd. The employees were like great audience members. They wanted to come out and watch. And then all of a sudden I opened my eyes and I realized that there's freaking lightning bugs. And I have
And you said that was the first time you've seen lightning bugs.
I saw lightning bugs
right?
once when I was 4, and I don't even remember if I remember it because I remember it or because my mom told me I did.
Right, it's like been planted in your brain.
But they were so magical. I mean, I looked to the side, to both sides of the stage, because the stage was all lit up with Christmas lights and stuff. Mm-hmm. both sides of that outer patio stage area, there was I'm already drunk apparently because I was like, oh no, my Jack and Diet, which is in my hand. Both sides of that stage area were covered in lightning bugs. It was so cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
so
It was
cool.
a great venue, and thanks again to Ryan and Yarrow for having us out.
Good food too. Such
great
good food.
Yeah, they took care of
Paul
Paul
My
Johnson.
Man Crush Monday.
She had a little crush on you, big guy, you know. And Paul's a guy I would love to get on this podcast at some point, and so I'd love to hear what he thought of your set.
He was
We'll be
such
sure
a
to
sweet
talk
guy.
about that.
I would love to hear what Paul thought of my set because
Yeah.
he's a hard one to get a read on.
He's always been that way.
Yeah?
He used to have this laugh back in the day. I had to like mention something to him about it because it was just like, and I'm like, "Are you really laughing at something?" He's like, "Yeah, dude, that was hilarious," but he just like, doesn't muster much more energy.
He's like such a low energy dude, but like anything I needed, he was like, "You hang on," and he just like he was running around the sweltering heat.
Oh,
you know?
he was covered in sweat. I mean, by the time we showed up, not even by
I
like
felt
the end
so
of the
bad
night,
for
you know?
him. I was like, God damn, bro.
Paul, you sweaty bastard.
But then
man.
you know
We
what?
love
The
you,
sun
man.
set and it cooled down, and it was just like a beautiful night. And
Well, I didn't
I
know.
bonded with the venue owner of our love of Magic the Gathering.
Oh,
so,
Ryan, yeah, he's a big Magic fan. Yeah, that's awesome. I honestly, I didn't know there was that many people there until you were about 10 minutes into your set, and people just started coming out of like
They were like
crevices
they were
and
like
shit.
termites.
When I was doing my set, like they were down in the field. I'm like performing to people that are like 50 yards away
Because
in
this
the
venue
field.
had it has like one of those dips that you have to go like smoke because you can't smoke on the deck.
Right.
So you have to like go down, and it's like basically the side of a mountain.
Yeah,
You're
more or
literally
less,
like
yeah.
sitting on a picnic
Yeah.
table on the side of a mountain. That's where everyone was.
Yeah. So, well, that's cool that you've been having a lot of firsts out here. You've been having a good time.
I'm so sweaty. I've been sweaty since Thursday,
Yeah.
which has been interesting. But I've lost like 4 pounds.
So that's great. Man. I mean,
And water alone.
I have had like messages from like your fellow your fellow podcasters. Like Gooch was like, "Hey, make sure you get Jozalyn back to us in good good shape." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm gonna take care of a girl out here. You know, she's my friend too."
My scene is very good to me and very sweet to me. They're very.
Rightly
It's
so,
like
yeah.
having 35 big brothers,
Yeah,
and
right.
a lot of them are younger than you. But
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
still like having 35 big brothers. Like that whole mansplaining thing happened on my Facebook the other day.
Yeah,
and
I saw
it
that,
was
yeah.
just. I mean, I almost felt bad for the dude at one point because I'm like, you're not gonna be able to stand up against 35 educated, dedicated Las Vegas comedians
Sure, yeah.
who have watched me get mansplained to over and,
And
over
over again,
and
yeah.
over again. Like, you're not going to be able to convince them that, like, and people are like, well, you shouldn't use the term mansplaining, it only widens the gender gap. Go fuck yourself. It's either, these are the same people that would be like, well, it's just a word, why can't I say it? It's just
Right.
a word. If it's just a word, then who cares?
And who cares?
Yeah.
Fuck off. Yeah.
Fuck
Now that
off.
I mean that's kind of an interesting subject because I remember Friday night we were in Hot Springs, Virginia. We
Yeah.
were at the Homestead and we were kind of barking for the show, which was kind of one of the craziest places you're barking for a comedy show at a 5-star hotel.
Yo, this
and,
place looked like we just like were popped into like the middle of like an old Southern like television drama.
I mean,
like,
it was built in like 1766, so it's old.
it was built before we declared our independence
Yeah,
from
yeah.
England.
We were still under English
It
rule.
was
when that place
gorgeous,
built, yeah.
though. I mean, but the carpet needed replacing. But I mean, it was
does, yeah.
it's built 200 years ago. I shouldn't be so critical.
I
But I'm from
think-
Vegas, where it's like, if carpet looks at all dingy, we replace it.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, and they have. I've heard like theories about carpets in the casinos in Vegas that they make it like crazy distracting, so that if you look down walking,
Yeah, they want
you'll
you to get
get
lost.
dizzy. So your eyes stay up, like eyeballing all the
Oh,
machines and all that kind of stuff.
interesting.
So that's why like they change their carpeting
That's
out
why their
every once in a
carpeting
while,
looks
yeah.
like a techno song vomited on the floor.
right. I don't know. The Venetians is kind of classy.
And then there's some classic.
Yeah,
ones.
some good spots.
But anyways, we were in front of that. I know what your story you're
Yeah.
gonna tell. We were in front of that, and you didn't even hear him.
Not until I got back in the car.
You stopped in. First of all, Ian you promoted in the mountains. We were in the middle of nowhere in the mountains, and you were like promoting a comedy show, being like, "We have a comedy show tonight," and I'm just standing there like.
Yeah, but people were hip to it. We were at
Yeah.
a Blue Hole yesterday.
I
All
am
those kids
so-
were like, "Fuck yeah!" None of them
I
came.
knew they weren't gonna
But
fucking come.
they-
We knew they
they
weren't
were
gonna come
stoked
though.
about
They
it.
were too fucked up. It was
They
like 2
were.
o'clock
They
in
were
the
all
afternoon.
asleep by the time we even
Yeah,
started.
shout out to Tyler and Chase.
Tyler
So,
Chase, where were you at,
where
man?
you
We had a
at,
great show.
bros?
Had a
You
good
didn't
time last
come.
night.
I was gonna buy you beers and then you didn't show up. So
Y'all
sorry.
owe me money, okay? I saved seats for you, motherfuckers. But I
So,
wanted to say, and
we
you
started
knew
in
where
that
we were
parking
going.
lot.
Right? And then as
You
we're
saw a
getting
group
out-
of people and you were like, I'm gonna go holler at these
Yeah.
people. You literally like hopped out and talked to these people. And as you were getting in the car, I rolled down my window to wave at them. And as I was waving at them, the one girl, and like she had kind of an attitude about it, which I grew up poor, so I have that like poor thing where I'm like, oh, you have fucking money, so you have an attitude. Like
Right. Yeah.
Every person with money, I think, is being condescending. But she like kind of like rolled her eyes and like pointed at the flyer that you handed her, and she like pointed to her husband, and she was like, oh, well, I think his name was Michael. She goes, well, Michael didn't want to go because it was a girl, and like the windows open, and I'm like,
right, thanks. But how do you feel like? What do you feel like kind of the environment is right now?
I feel that any motherfucker
comedians?
who doesn't want to come to a comedy show because it's a female comic is not somebody who's going to be my fan anyways.
Yeah,
so I don't give a fuck.
I
don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck what other people don't like, do like. If you're inhumane and you're mean and you're cruel to other people, that's the only thing I give a fuck about.
Right.
You can do whatever you want to me. Say whatever the fuck you want to me.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. As long as you're not being cruel to someone who can't defend themselves. Like, there's very few things that, like, truly get under my skin, that truly upset me in this way. And it's not... Being a female in comedy has made me just... And all the dudes, like, that have been my mentors and have... Like, I've learned... There's, like, 6 things that Sam Talent taught me that I think of all the time. Mm-hmm. Tons of things that Gooch taught me that I think of all the time. All they're Butch Bradley. There's guys that I've been working with for years that have really ingrained in my head that people are never going to respect me.
Right.
And they haven't ingrained it in my head in like a bad way where they're like, well, nobody's going to respect you.
They're just like, this is facts. Like,
they're
this
like,
is gonna
this
be
is how you
tough
navigate around it.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I've seen. This is how, and I think that's like a lot of our issue. And I kind of brought this up to you earlier this weekend is that people want to say feminism can't work. Well, feminism can work, but what is required in any progress is for people to meet in the middle, and nobody wants to meet in the middle right now.
Right.
And my meet in the middle as far as females in comedy goes is if we're fucking burying motherfuckers on stage, there is nothing they can do. They will book you back because a booker doesn't want to look like a fucking asshole for featuring you and you just fucking shoveling cemetery dirt onto another comic. Right. So, and it's like a lot of the Denver comics have, told me this. Like, that's like their mentality is like, if you bury the person after you, like, it's only so many years, so many times,
When you say bury, you mean like talking shit? Like trying
to... No, just being so fucking funny.
Right, okay.
That audience goes, I got my comedy show. I've seen it a million times. You've seen it a million times where a feature goes up and does so great that audience has the energy afterwards as if the show's over. Mm-hmm. They start to talk to each other. They start to like shuffle in their purses, check their phones. They were cheering so loud. They're unruly because they were like, I got it. There was my comedy. I got it.
Yeah, they got their fill and they're ready to go. And
I don't mean this in like a competitive way. I just mean that, and you don't even have to try and bury them. I guess I'm saying it more aggressively than I need to. What my point is that nothing, absolutely nothing is deniable on the microphone. Mm-hmm. And I hear a lot of this talk, and like even on Bert Kreischer and Greg Fitzsimmons were talking about it. And Greg Fitzsimmons is like, honestly, I think one of my favorite comedians I think one of the best comedians that people don't talk about. Like, they don't include him in the Mount Rushmore, but he really is like, I mean, he's built a lot of the comedy that people love today, and he's really smart, and he thinks about things really clearly. And they were talking about females in comedy, and I agree with them in that I do believe it's still a meritocracy. I believe that females have to navigate different obstacles than men do, but I believe that it's up to you to look, if a booker's inappropriate with you, you just look them in the face and go, I'm not going to tolerate that kind of behavior, and if you do it again, then I will let every single fucking person know that that's how you handle yourself.
Call them the fuck out. Yeah, I hear you. Well,
or let them know right away. Tell them, I ain't ever working with you again. Go fuck yourself. I'm going to tell everybody this is how you handle business. You can go fuck yourself. Bye-bye. Bye, bitch. Later. You can, like, there's all this thing in comedy where people think that there's, like, everyone wants to, like, what's this, what do you, fuck everything else. Fuck the social media. Fuck all that. If you write and you work and you try and get better, everything else just falls into place.
I think it's like anything else. You get out of it what you put in. I mean, even,
100%.
I feel, personally like I don't get to work in comedy as much as I'd like to out here as far as actually getting stage time and all that stuff. But I do feel like I am benefiting from producing shows and getting other people on stage and getting.
But that's what you're doing. Is you're being motherfucking proactive, Ian. Yeah. Like, most people don't want to be proactive. They want to take shortcuts. They think that if they get 1 million followers, well, I can do 20, and it kills sometimes. So if I get 1 million followers, then I'll be able to work regularly. Like, I just don't understand the want to, like, just skip up to the next level just because, like, don't you want to earn that? Don't you want to fucking blood, sweat, and tears?
Yeah, I
like,
would much rather have that behind me.
That's
or,
how I feel. Like,
it's like, that's in my backpack. I fucking did all that shit.
Where I am right now,
sprinting to the top with
where I am right now, people say all the time that I shouldn't be getting the gigs that I get.
Which is bullshit. I mean,
to be fair, there's a few people who have told me they hear this. Most people say they don't hear anybody talking any shit.
Right. Are they saying that because of how long you've been doing comedy, or they don't think your comedy stands up?
I don't know. Honestly, to be honest, like, this is one of those rumor mill things where it's like the person telling, like, there's a few people that have told me that people are talking shit where I'm like, I think you're talking shit and you just want to gauge
right
how the fuck I feel about people talking shit about me.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
And it's not like it's shady or anything. It's just comedy brings out the worst in people sometimes.
It does. I was surprised to see that, really, when I got started in it.
But honestly, I kind of ignore it, and, like, it hasn't really held me back. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that a lot of people talk a lot of shit about the Vegas scene, but I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, I love being out in Vegas,
I'm a born and raised Vegas comic. I've never left my scene. I stay in my scene. I work out of my scene. I've built my road career on my scene. Yeah. Like, I mean...
Well, I loved Vegas. I loved performing with all you guys. I mean, I was learning a lot, you know, but I kept running into people like, and Chris Shaw, who was the first person, in my knowledge, to come to this area and do comedy. So, Chris Shaw, if we can ever get you back out here, I'd love to do that, and I hope you're out there listening. So, but a lot of guys were saying, oh, you're from West Virginia, you're in this comedy scene. They're like, I'll have a show in Pittsburgh. I drive through the whole state of West Virginia to get to Nashville. Like, why is there no place to perform?
Yes.
There? So, I mean, my wheels kind of started turning. I'm like, there's complete... I'm not going to say that because there have been people out here, like, doing comedy, and they have been, you know, putting on shows and everything like that. But I wanted to kind of take advantage of the fact that I had met some of these road guys and gals and people that were doing comedy on a higher level, and give them a place to come and play and perform. So I kind of like wanted to fill that void, you know what I'm saying? But no disrespect to Vegas, man. I loved it out there. It was awesome. But you guys taught me, and I felt like, okay, it's like I went off to camp, got my knowledge, I weaved some baskets.
Yeah, but you even said you missed home. And that's okay. Like, it's okay to, like, I mean, I've been here for 4 days, and if I lived here, if I grew up here, I don't imagine that I would want to leave.
Right.
It's very difficult. Even my husband fell in love with Fallon, and which I said my hometown is very much like Lewisburg. And when we went back, he was like, I could see us living in a town like this. Mm-hmm. But it's just, I mean, for me at this point in my career, I work too much in Las Vegas. And
yeah, I got you. Well, you're setting yourself up there, and you're doing a hell of a job at it and stuff. But I will tell you this: when you leave this place, it'll be like you're after like somebody's first hit of heroin or something. You'll be like, I want to go back there.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, but I will say,
I love it.
Everybody in the area absolutely loved, what you did, how gracious you were, like how, and anytime you want to come back.
And I want to be clear about all the shit I was saying earlier, because I don't want to sound arrogant ever, because I want everyone to know I hate me. I hate myself. That's what social anxiety is. It means I hate myself, and I think everyone hates me. But I'm coping with it. When I seem self-assured and confident, it's because I am, but that's with lots of therapy and lots of coping.
Right.
Because people are like, oh, you're so confident, you don't have social anxiety. And I'm like, bitch, you don't know, like, what the fuck? Like, ask my husband about my 1 a.m. breakdowns, and then you can talk to me about, like, my social anxiety.
Well, I got to say, you've done really well at, like, handling all, because I remember you were saying it's, like, kind of awkward for you to take a compliment sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And you've been getting tons of them since you got here, so... For what that's worth, like you've been a champ about.
It's like this multi-layered thing where it's like, okay, here's what goes through my head when somebody compliments me. It's like, holy crap, somebody thinks I'm good. Like somebody likes me. And then after that, immediately, I'm like, I'm so fucking grateful. And then immediately after that, I'm like, you don't deserve that. And then immediately after that, I'm like, you should let them know that there's way better comics out there than you. And
right. You get that. Like, it's just like this, a guilt trip.
Yeah.
I felt the same way. Like when we were having breakfast this morning, we had this, amazing 3 days. All the shows were great. And then this morning, I'm just like, yeah, I know. Like by the third day, you're hanging out with me. It's like, man, you're like, what are you talking about? Like it's not, but I get that sort of mentality where you're kind of like, oh, can you help me like move something? And then you're like, oh, never mind, whatever. Should I just go slit my wrist? Like, why? I'm sorry I even bothered you, whatever. Just have a nice life. We'll never talk again. And
I just have poor self-worth. I always have. It's a everyday struggle, and like I'm obsessed with TikTok. We've been talking about this.
Yeah, you've been shooting a lot over at my dad's place, which
so
he's ecstatic
it's like this
about.
dumb lip syncing like dancing app for like, but I'm a nerd. I love it because there's tons of people cosplaying my favorite characters on there, and there's funny videos. It's like Vine got resurrected, but with like a bunch of anime nerds on it.
Yeah.
And it's really, I've showed you, even you were like, that's pretty fucking creative.
It
like,
is, yeah.
Some of these kids
cool.
on there and some of these adults on there are making these videos that are just, now there's a whole other side of TikTok, which we haven't even got into.
Oh, yeah? What, like...
Yeah. I forgot what I was talking about TikTok. Yeah. Anyways, don't make fun of me for liking TikTok.
What now? How do they find you on that app? Like, do you have a address?
At Wizard of Jaws on
Wizard
TikTok.
Of Jaws.
That's Joz, like the first 3 letters of my name.
Yeah, and to be honest, guys, like even for some of my older listeners and stuff, like Jaws been showing me some stuff on there. It's really interesting. It's like, and she's right. A lot of kids are doing really creative stuff.
It's like a Netflix feed. So the more you like and the more you follow, the more it like caters your feed.
Yeah,
and like I made the mistake of liking one too many vampire cosplayers. So now I just have like a bunch of vampire BDSM in my TikTok feed. But it's kind of fun to watch. It's kind of fun to go, hey, this is an adult who went home, who like worked all day, went home, put on entire vampire makeup that's actually like really impressive, cool looking, and then has made this video for me.
So it's like kind of tracking what sort of things you're searching.
Yeah, so it's like Facebook and Instagram. You will get to the communities that you want to get to based on what you like and stuff. But I mean, you can go down some fucking TikTok rabbit holes. Don't get me wrong.
Well, we had this job I had. It was the place I worked out in Vegas. We were trying to fuck with this guy and get him to have all these weird things on his search engine. So I had made up this story about how like Carlos Santana was a child prostitute. And he was like, what bullshit? Like, and so he looked up child prostitute on his internet search, and then he started getting the weirdest shit. Like,
I'm sure.
It was just a prank we played on him, whatever. And
the internet is weird, and weirdos will find the internet, and I would like to be very open and honest and say that I'm a weirdo. So when I say weirdo, I don't mean it with derogatory remarks at all. Like, do you know how many comics would look at my TikTok and be like, you're so dumb. You're fucking dumb, and I hate you, and this is dumb. And I'd be like, you're right, I am dumb, but we're not friends.
To me, it looks like you're having a good time, and they're well made, and you have like kind of an interesting concept about how you go into it, no makeup, and then pop up like with your makeup.
So I do a ton of makeup stuff on my TikTok. So like TikTok is like the most popular things are like makeup, fashion, cosplaying, and then lip syncing. Like it's all about like getting like really good at lip syncing. Like that's really popular. So like I'll do, and it's like fun video editing, and it's just like it's a social media that is what I think social media used to be when MySpace was around, where it's just like,
I miss MySpace.
Here's
man.
a goofy.
Tom, come back, Tom.
Well, remember bulletins? Remember you would like do a bulletin and it'd be like, do this survey for a bulletin, and it would be like ask you 50 questions, and it'd be like, what's your favorite color? Who's your crush? Like, whatever. TikTok has kind of reversed time and made it back to the place where it's like, hand to God, I love, anyone who knows me knows I fucking love social media, and I love Facebook and Instagram so motherfucking much, but those fucking platforms have done nothing for communication. Insofar as they've allowed people to communicate quickly but not clearly. Right. Everyone wants to talk about politics and serious shit on social media when that's not the place to have it.
It should be like a sandbox. It's where you go play and just like,
it's
enjoy
where you
yourself,
go, look at this fucking stupid ass cat I saw, and then you post that, and then that's the end. You shouldn't go on there and be like, I just want everyone to know that I'm on this, and it's like, I do it too, because that's part of the conversation now and it's part of our culture. But in my perfect world, no one would go on Facebook and Instagram and be like, I'm for this, I'm for that, because you know what? If you really were for that shit, you would get out in the fucking community and you would do something about it.
Or go, there are forums out there that are strictly made, platforms
even
to talk about those things.
Fuck you, go do something. Get off your fucking computer if you're so concerned about this cause.
Yeah.
Get off your fucking computer.
I did really enjoy, like, fucking with people that I thought were, like, rooting for our current president, like, for the wrong reasons. And so I would play, like, a heel, you know what I mean? Like, advocating.
Yeah, I mean,
like this, and I did have a good time with that.
I'm not saying I'm innocent. I'm not saying I'm innocent. I'm just saying in my perfect world, I don't believe that's the platform in which we discuss serious things. I think that I am currently in my life working to be more transparent. I think that everyone needs to be a little more transparent. We need to say, I don't like you. I don't want to be friends with you. We need to say things like that to people. We don't say things like that to people, and that's what makes everyone so anxious, because we're always trying to figure out but if everyone was just like, I don't like you, I hate grapes, like if you were just honest 100% of the time, without being hurtful, let me rephrase that. If you were honest about what your needs were, everyone would have a much better life. Sure. Because if my needs were that I fucking hated you, then you wouldn't want to be around me anyways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, in the interest of transparency when it comes to this kind of stuff, I just have to be blunt in that I believe that everyone's a little wrong, and you don't get right unless you sit down face to face and look somebody in the eyes and figure out their intention. And that's the only way you can find intention, is if you can sit in the room with them and feel their energy and look them in the face and you know.
Well, yeah, I totally agree, and I think, you know, the longer you let things kind of swelter and boil in, and without, you know, if you're not letting it out and talking about it, that's how real situations come up.
And anyone who follows me on Facebook or Twitter,
and you lose friends
like,
over that shit because they won't say anything. They won't say anything.
Yes.
If you'd have told me like, "Hey, Dick, quit stepping on my fucking Nikes," that really pisses me off. I know you think it's funny or whatever,
it'd
but
be a
like,
different story.
Yeah, like you just say it right off the bat, you know, whatever. And I like that style of sort of approaching, well, everything, like friends, professionally, you know, if I, you know, and obviously doing shows, you produce shows, I mean, you're going to run into some hiccups and be like, well, I don't really know, you know, this sort of style, the venue owner is kind of doing this weird thing.
Yeah.
Just talk to them about it. Just throw it out there and be like, listen, I just want to put this out in the open that this is not really how I thought things were going to go, and is there a way we can find a happy medium?
This is the official record. Don't ask me a question unless you want an honest answer. I just want to tell people that, because I feel like sometimes people ask me questions and I don't like the answer.
Right.
Because I just don't, I don't think I feel, like, I think my husband's the only person on the planet for me, because I just don't interact emotionally with the world the way other people do. Like, the things that get me emotionally upset are so little.
Right.
And the things that matter they just roll off. I can't really get upset about that shit. I'm like, you asked me for feedback. Mm-hmm. And I can understand that you're upset, but if I was asking somebody for feedback, I wouldn't ask them for feedback if I didn't want to know the truth. So, are you asking for feedback, or are you asking for a compliment? Because if you're asking for feedback and I give you criticism and you get mad, then you're asking for a compliment.
Right. Now, do you feel like maybe sometimes people try to direct the response that they get by the way they ask the question? So, like, let's say, for example, when I ask you, like, have you been having a good time here?
Yes.
You know, I'm already putting that sort of...
Well, I mean, that's also your own subconscious psychology bullshit going on, where you're like, I want to, you know... I mean, we all communicate that way. It's subconscious shit. Like, you just gotta... I don't know. I
would find it boring to just be like, so what do you think? You know, think about what? Well, do you like this place or not? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, and that's not the way that you communicate. I don't think that, you know, I think that manipulation is manipulation, which is what you're talking about, and I think that you can we all recognize manipulation when we're being manipulated.
Oh yeah.
Especially the older we get, and if you've been manipulated before. Yeah, it's hard to learn, but once you learn that lesson, you start to recognize it all over the place.
Yeah, I spot it now, and I like when I realize this is that type of person, I just disconnect from them. Yeah. Totally. I'm just like, you know. Now, if this is somebody that I've been friends with for a long time, I'll start maybe like say something or point it out, and God knows, like maybe I've been guilty of it myself, but I feel, you know, like bringing it up, and my friends will do it. They'll say shit to me.
I am a manipulator.
But if it's like somebody new that I met and I realize that's how you operate, I'm like, you gone, girl, or whoever it is, you know,
boy,
like,
man, person,
whatever,
they, them. Yeah. I am the first person to admit that I am a manipulator. Right. I am an only child. I grew up very smart. Yeah. My mom never talked to me like a I mean, they baby talked me, but they never like treated me like a child. They, you know, I've been reasoning since I was like 6 years old. So it's why I was good at sales, is because I'm good at thinking 3 steps ahead of the person in front of me. Right. I think it's helped me in comedy, you know, like that. My whole life has been about like, you know, learning how to talk people into things. Like I was the weird kid with a unibrow who liked dorky shit like Pokemon.
A unibrow?
Like, I had to like convince kids to like me. So yes, I'm a manipulator. Every human being on this planet manipulates to get what they want. They manipulate themselves. They manipulate their loved ones. We lie about things. We justify things. We make justifications for things that are bad for us or unhealthy. Like we all do that shit. Mm-hmm. But there's some people that are manipulating you. And it's just different. It is, yeah. It could be,
it could be abusive. It could be.
Well, sometimes you look back on it and you're like, there was no point. You just did that
to get your way, or just to have things your way, and it didn't benefit them at all. It definitely didn't benefit.
You just didn't want to be wrong.
Yeah. So, That's my phone.
Oh, I was like, is that time's up? Is the Popeye
that's
done?
the light. That's the light.
That's the light. We're getting light.
My podcast is giving us the light. Oh, you know what?
Anyways, I don't want to rant about how terrible people are all the time because I tend to be. I get a little whiskey in me, and I want to be like, do you know what's wrong with the world?
Yeah, excuse me. Chris D'Elia.
I guess, long story short, my whole point is that I just wish, in my ideal world, people would stop making excuses for why they aren't where they are. Mm-hmm. And we would all just, like, I know where I'm not. The ideal thing, I don't have my ideal body because I don't eat right and I don't exercise. Yeah. I'm not where I want to be in my comedy career because I don't work hard enough. And I know there's, like, fucking Vegas comics who are like, you totally... Well, I don't know what to fucking tell you. I don't feel like I work hard enough.
And you don't owe anybody anything. You know what I'm saying? You're doing for you and you're not fucking anybody over.
Well, sometimes people want to make me feel like I can't say that I have room to work harder because they think I work hard, when in reality it's like, sure.
But you can always work harder.
And if you ask my husband, he'll say, no, she can't.
Right? Yeah. Nah, man. She got to come home and play Nintendo with me every once in a while. Or some Magic or whatever.
But, I'm the first person to doubt myself in all of these things. I'll go home later and I'll say, like, why did you say that shit? This is just me being honest in the moment because I'm talking to my friend. Right. But I don't know. I feel like people would make it more than what it is. And I truly believe that if you're out there and you're talking about other... I mean, I will bitch about other comics, don't get me wrong. I love to gossip. That's what comics love, to gossip. But if you're out there and you're bitching like, oh, so-and-so's getting that, like, you know... And this isn't directed at any of the people who said I shouldn't be headlining, but it is. If you're bitching about that person getting what they're getting, why?
Yeah.
What does that do for you? It doesn't. It does nothing for you, but allow yourself to accept less from yourself.
Yeah, and I think that some people feel like, you know, and this was, I can't remember who I heard this from. Certainly didn't come up with this, but it's such a perfect way to put it. Is a lot of people think that blowing out somebody else's candle will make theirs burn brighter, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, that's not the fucking way it works at all, you know?
And
I never understood that about, you know, I understand it. It's a very individualistic, art form, being a stand-up comedian.
Yes.
But, and there is a lot of people that do support each other. And I mean, you said you have the guys that are like your big brothers, and those guys are great comics.
Yes.
You know, we're talking a lot of these people that are spiteful, like, are just, I've always gotten the impression that they're not where they want to be themselves. And maybe it's a tinge of jealousy. It's not really like you're better than anybody.
And of course it is, because whenever you're shit talking, you're always a little jealous. Mm-hmm. I mean, or petty. I mean, anytime I shit talk someone, it's never coming from a place of a good part of my heart. You know, it's coming from a bad part of my heart.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just like, if I'm somewhere and you think that I didn't earn that spot, please feel free to come and tell me what I should be doing that I'm not.
Right. Yeah.
I would love to hear, I would love it. I would love, if you don't think I'm fucking open to feedback, you don't fucking know anything about me, because I am the one person in the world that will listen and digest that feedback and try and figure out how I can use it to my advantage, because all I'm trying to do is make a comedy career. I'm not going to move to LA. I'm not going to move to New York. Everyone tells me that means I'm never going to be like a real comedian, quote unquote.
Yeah, no, I mean, people come from everywhere.
I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want.
Everywhere.
I'm going to live my life the way I want to do it, because I'm going to fucking die in 40 years.
Yeah.
And I need to live the life I want to live. And in the meantime, we all only have to answer to our fucking selves. So maybe we should all stop worrying about what other comics are doing and stop harassing bookers about why they're booking other comedians, because it's none of your fucking business.
Shit, yeah. Now, that being said, and kind of what this podcast is
This is
about.
what I get for drinking whiskey.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? We never took. We got to do another first for you. We're gonna do a little shot of moonshine. Jozalyn Sharp.
I'm not drinking this whole thing.
No, you don't have to. Just take a sip.
A little sip.
If you drink that whole thing right now.
Happy birthday, Eli.
Yeah, this is. These were party favors.
Last
for
month.
my friend Eli's 40th birthday.
Eli turned 40 last month.
Shout out to you, Eli. Happy birthday. And shout out to Sarah. You threw a hell of a party.
Happy birthday, Eli.
Sarah.
I'm about to. This literally has the. This is the consistency of like what I imagine jizz would look like if it was left out in the sun. This is so disturbing. I'm really disturbed that I'm
it's got a little sugar in it.
No offense to whoever made this moonshine, but
yeah. Well, his name's Cletus, and he doesn't have a television, so he's never.
Of course, his name is Cletus.
So, I don't know if it's Cletus or not. And whoever made this moonshine, I think it's delicious. But we're going to have Jozalyn Sharp's going to get her first little taste of moonshine right here on the Who Is Dingus Stinkfinger podcast. So, Joz, thanks very much. Good luck. Cheers.
delicious.
You love it, right?
It's delicious.
This is good moonshine too. People come at you with this.
That didn't even burn.
No, man, that's good smooth moonshine. I mean,
Tastes like peaches.
it is a little. It's flavored a little bit. If you
say,
get that
it tastes
real white lightning, you don't feel it. You don't taste anything. Then all of a sudden, your whole chest is just
my
warm.
chest is hot right now.
So that's actually
But that tastes
technically.
like peaches.
Yeah, some people would say that that's technically brandy. I mean, it was made as moonshine.
Okay.
But they've added sugar and fruit.
It's pretty sugary. I can still taste how sweet it is, but it's good.
But yeah, it's it's
good
good
job,
stuff.
Cletus.
Hey, Cletus, or whoever made that moonshine, because you might watch this and I might know who you are. But good job. It's delicious, and Jozalyn seems to enjoy it. So.
And I'm a fucking pussy. I am. I'm like a pussy. People like think I'm like tough I'm like a tough person. Mm-hmm. But being a tough person does not equate to not being afraid of things.
Sure, yeah.
People think just because, like, my friend Ron Jossel.
Ron, who?
You know Ron Jossel, the comedian? He's a Canadian comedian.
I've heard the name before.
Super funny. If you don't know Ron Jossel, look him up at Ron Jossel1, I think, on Instagram. But Ron, he thinks I'm like he'll be like, you're just like cool. And I'm like, why am I cool? He goes, because you don't like, because he asked me one time, he's like, hey, we're all going to go to the Hard Rock and hang out. Are you going to come with us? I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And he was like, what? And I was like, I don't want to go to the Hard Rock. And he was like, wait, you just like don't do things you don't want to do? I was like, yeah, Ron. Mm-hmm. I just don't. And I think because
if I'm not feeling up for it.
I think because I'm blunt, people equate that with being like not
kind of a dick.
But you learn that I'm very afraid. I'm very afraid of things.
I've been really impressed with you. I mean, you've been saying yes to stuff. Like, I mean, I took her out to Blue Hole. On Friday, we went out. Was it Friday? No, Saturday.
Saturday was yesterday. Yeah, we woke up and we drove out there.
Drove out there, walked out to Blue Hole. Had this, little rainy on the way out, and even I was like, if you don't feel like being outside, you were just like, fuck that, we'll go swim in the rain.
Yeah.
Got down there, and it was. I like that you got kind of the best of both worlds, because I was like, sometimes you get the place to yourself, which we did at first, and it was just like quiet and chill, and then all of a sudden people just started rolling in with beers and drinks and playing the radio, and I was like, now this is the other side of it. So you kind of got the best of both worlds, and you looked like you were having a good time out there. Though.
I was having such a good
time. Despite the fish,
I was terrified. Every time a fish touched me, I freaked out and ran out of the river.
It was kind of funny, yeah.
But I have always been like that. I've been in the outdoors my whole life. Camping has been part of my life my whole life. Mm-hmm. And I've always hated the bugs. I've always screamed when I saw them. I've always smacked animals and critters away. I just don't want them to touch me. Right. I don't want them to bother me. I just want to enjoy the outdoors without all that pesky wildlife.
Yeah, I mean, even the butterfly. You were like, look, you're beautiful, but get the fuck up off
me.
I
fucking hate butterflies. I hate moths, which are just like the honest butterfly in my opinion. I feel like butterflies are just like lying to us all. They're like catfishing us.
Oh yeah, they're total dicks too. Yeah, but the moths are just like, I'm a dick.
Well, it's not that they're dicks. It's just that if you look at a butterfly's face and a moth's face up close, they're both fucking terrifying.
The face?
Yeah, like their body. And these butterflies in the West Virginia mountains were like big ass motherfucking butterflies that even as they were flying around, I could see like their giant thorax, like they're like their leg, like it's like a human with butterfly legs with just like legs dangling.
You're supposed to focus on the wings, Josh. Like that's how you see. Well,
I see danger. I see danger
you're
everywhere.
Right though. You can't just look at the beautiful side of things and not realize that there's an ugly part too.
I think that's my cross to bear in life is that my family is a bunch of realists.
Yeah.
So everything in my family has always been like, you can do anything, but also you might fail at it.
Right,
and I've been like, cool, but I'm anxious about it.
You can do whatever you want, but you're going to have to clean up your own fucking mess.
Yeah. Which I think is good.
I get that. Well, the podcast here is kind of...
I know we've rambled about 30 things.
No, we're all good, but like... we kind of want like people to sort of see how, what your story was, like getting into stand-up and like how you... So what was kind of your first spark where you like got inspired and started realizing this is what you want to do? And I know we've talked about it, so let's not act like we haven't already had the conversation. Yes. But for the people out there listening,
I'll tell the story and you can ask questions if they come up that you didn't
tell the story, and I'm fully listening. But I am going to go make a drink, so you go on with that.
Will you do mine?
Yeah, absolutely.
So. You just touched me. I'm so sweaty and I'm so sorry. I just touched myself and I'm so gross. Look at this. Isn't my highlight. This is just how sweaty it is in West Virginia. So I've always been like the good time party girl. You and I were talking about how like I've always kind of been which I'm sure you have 30 of them in this town, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chicks with great senses of humor who are just like, you know. I was invited to like all parties all the time.
Right.
So at every party, I got to a point in my life where at every party, especially as we got older and the parties became smaller and it was just close groups of friends, where I would be on the back porch and people would start to surround me and ask me to tell stories. And half dozen times of this happening, my best friend was sitting there listening to a story, and in the middle of the story, she interrupts me. And I loved stand-up since I was like 10 years old. The very first piece of stand-up I ever saw that I remember seeing and knowing what it was and watching, I watched a bunch of like Comic View, I don't know if you remember Premium Blend.
Who?
Premium Blend. Do you remember Premium Blend on Comedy Central?
Yeah.
Where it was like
absolutely.
4 comics doing 15.
Right, yeah.
I watched a lot of Premium Blend, and then I saw Dane Cook's Half Hour, and then I was just addicted to comedy after that. It was just any comedy I could get a hold of. Stephen Lynch was the second special I saw and became obsessed with musical comedy.
Right.
I've been obsessed with all kinds of comedy. So this party happens. Hillary's sitting there. She's seeing. That's my best friend. I'm drunk, so if this story goes off the rails. Hillary sees me. I'm telling the story. Hillary interrupts me and she goes, hey, and I was like, what? I mean, like in mid fucking story, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, you should do stand-up comedy, and it just like clicked with me that's what I had been doing my whole life.
Right.
Is I had been, and if you hung out with my family, you would see that I come from a family of stand-up comedians.
Right.
When we get together, we don't watch television, we don't play games, we sit in a room in a circle and we yell stories
Crack each other up.
We try and get the next open spot to tell a story, and
Right.
we just try and make each other laugh. Like,
Shit, yeah.
and
that's awesome.
so that was kind of the spark for me. I was in a bad relationship at the time. I always like to say for the record when I think of it that those who know the relationship I'm talking about, was it bad because he was a terrible, awful person to me? Yes. But was it also bad because we were both terrible, awful people and we were young and didn't know what the fuck we were doing? Yes.
Right.
100%.
Right, yeah.
But we were at BJ's Brew House and we're eating dinner. And he was eating a salad that he got with his dinner. And I was like, I'm just gonna tell him, maybe he'll be supportive. And so I was like, I think I want to do stand-up comedy. And without even looking up from his salad, he like took a spoonful of salad in his mouth and he goes, why, you're not funny?
Yeah.
And my brain just goes, oh yeah, you're right, you're not funny. And so I just kind of was like, filed that away, went on with my life for 5 more years. I had a pretty tumultuous 5 years of life after that breakup, and it really fucked me up. He was very focused on my physical appearance, which was very terrible for somebody who has an eating disorder, which I do have. So that was really bad for me. But after that, I partied and shit, and then I ended up in Las Vegas, and I started an online dating profile. I found it's a good way to make friends, and started an online dating profile, and I meet Bobby Wayne Stotts, comedian.
Big shout to Bobby Wayne Stotts.
At Fun Bob Fat Pants on Twitter. And we go on a date, and we date for like a week, like very casually. Like the most we ever did was like French. What's up, Bobby? No, we never.
Did he have a beard back then?
Yeah, he looked he looked exactly the same, but
how
way
he does
fatter.
right now,
like
yeah.
he was like 70
I've
pounds
seen
heavier.
pictures of him from back in the day. I was like, because I didn't meet Bobby.
He's
till
lost a ton of
shit.
weight.
Yeah, he was a big.
He's
boy.
lost a ton of weight.
Yeah.
But we dug
Very
each other.
funny guy, by the way.
We dug each other, and that people are always like, think this story's weird, but like I was not heartbroken by him dumping me because I wanted to be around him. Like every time he hit me up, I wanted to go out with him, and I think the same for him. But there was just like nothing making me want to take it any further than making.
Yeah, and it's cool that you guys were able to recognize that and just be like, look, this thing ain't gonna work on that level, but on another level. So he kind of got you introduced into.
Yeah, I mean, because
world.
I mean, he dumped me, but we had spent that week going to comedy shows every night.
Right.
So I met my first group of friends in Vegas were just these comics, and they kept inviting me out. Actually, my first kiss, my first kiss of 2014 is Bobby Wayne Stotts. I can tell you that for sure. I think, 2013. The year I moved to Vegas, the New Year's after that.
Okay.
My first kiss was Bobby Wayne Stotts because we kissed on New Year's Eve at a New Year's Eve party.
So you moved to Vegas in 2013?
2012, I think.
Okay, I moved there in 2014, so I was like right on your tail.
Yeah. It was shortly after that, or shortly before. No, that's not right. It's 2019. 7 minus 2011 is when I moved.
Yes, it's June 31st of 2019.
31st. So my first kiss of 2012 was Bobby Wayne Stotts.
Okay.
But anyways, I met all these comics. Long story short, I let slip. I ended up dating another comic, and I tell them that I want to do comedy. The more I hang out with them, the more they start pushing me. Finally, one of those comics, Angie Crumb, she throws me up. I had Crumb Shots on Instagram. She throws me up on her open mic, and that's Krum, not crumb like the bread, but
right, Krum. Hey, Angie.
Hi, Angie. She throws me up, and it's just kind of been history.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's kind of a cool counterpoint that you and I have. Was Angie Crumb was the first that ever brought me on stage.
Look, and, Angie Crumb put a lot of motherfuckers on stage.
I'll bet, yeah. So it's probably not that special of a story.
It's really not.
But I think it's
you
cool.
And I both have the in which the universe kind of pushed us into comedy. Like, we had wanted to do it, and we made. If a couple things had gone differently in my life, I probably wouldn't be doing comedy today.
Sure. Yeah.
I had to be in the right place at the right time for it to happen, because I was never going to get the guts to do it without, fucking shout out to the motherfuckers who go out to their first open mic alone and by themselves, and,
I had Rob Bauer with me. Rob Bauer, respect. But I didn't know I was doing comedy that night.
My first fucking open mic, 8 of the people in the audience were my closest friends at the time.
Right, yeah.
So it's like...
Yeah. I mean, my girl Precious that I was telling you about, comes to my open mic at Sir Walter's Tavern.
She was by herself.
Month, came by herself, was petrified.
Killed it.
But, she got up, initially she went to the bar, she got a soda, she was sitting there by herself.
I noticed that was significantly less lighter than when I...
A little heavy-handed with the whiskey. I do that sometimes. I'm like, who am I making a drink for, me or everybody else in the world? But Precious, her story is just, she got up, or when I first started talking to her, she had tears in her eyes. She was so nervous. And I was like, have you ever done this before? You need a comedian? She's like, no, it's just something I've always wanted to do. She has this real, mousy, tiny voice,
She came to the show on Thursday, and I met her.
Yeah, she was there Thursday. And I told her, I said, if you come to any of my shows, make sure this is the one, because you're going to see, Jozalyn does a great fucking show.
You said a lot of nice things about me to a lot of nice people, and I'm very appreciative of it.
Well, I mean, it's not like I'm
You're not bullshitting. I know. I know you're being genuine.
Yeah.
I know. I just letting you know that I appreciate it. That's all.
But Precious got up, and she got the whole room just filled with this nervous energy. And all respect. I mean, I think I got on stage probably 15, 20 times before I got what I would consider a genuine laugh from a joke. She got up there, she started talking about this, this bit that she wanted to do, and all props to her. She had memorized everything she wanted to say. And 45 seconds, the room is just on the edge of their seat, oh shit, everybody's nervous, oh my God, I hope she's okay, I hope she's, whatever. And then she dropped this punchline out of left field, and it was fucking hilarious. And everybody just lost their shit. I mean, and then she did it again. She just started from that mousy little spot, and she built it up, and then she just dropped another punchline. And so she has come, she's done 3 open mics now, and it's gotten to the point to where the last time I showed up at Sir Walter's, people were like, Ian, what's up? And I'm like, hey, how you been? They're like, good. Is Precious coming tonight?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
That.
She's got a fan club, and people, they hugs and high fives and just tons of love
Precious,
on the way out.
That's how that shit started for me, honestly. I was people used to joke that you couldn't win the MVP's comedy contest because the bar liked me so much. So even if they would say that, even if my set wasn't the best set, that everyone was going to cheer for me because I was that was my bar, that was my people. I hung out there, and they saw me like Precious. When somebody sees you grow into a comedian, I think they have way more investment. In what you do.
They're kind of watching.
And
it's almost like a little protege. You're like, oh, I'm the first person to brought you on stage, so you do sort of keep.
And you start to fantasize about, well, if she gets famous, I'm going to remember seeing her first time on stage.
No doubt.
And I think that there's a lot of that in what happened with my career. I think there's a lot of people. I honestly, if somebody was to ask me what was my biggest asset in my career, I think it's because I'm a people person.
Right.
I think because I like people and I'm genuinely interested in people. Gooch always tells me that that's one of my biggest assets.
Yeah.
Gooch is Brandon Hahn. I'm not supposed to call him Gooch anymore. I'm sorry, Gooch.
Did he drop that?
He dropped Gooch, but
did he? Yeah.
Oh, he's only Gooch on the radio, Comp 92.3 FM.
But he'll always be Gooch to you.
He'll always be Gooch to me. He's going to be my Gooch forever.
He was one of the guys that not emailed me, but hit me up and was just like, hey, better fucking take care of Jozalyn.
He's very protective. He's very protective.
Yeah. But great guy. I think I was on 2 shows with him.
He's the best person
he
ever.
was always just you know, he's Gooch, man. He's the radio guy, and he's doing comedy on a whole other level up here. I'm on my 20th show.
But he never treats anybody like that.
And he just was like really, really cool to me, and you know, just I got nothing but respect for that guy.
I mean, the minute he decided he thought I was funny was the minute he started helping me get bookings, helping me figure out how to do things. Like, the thing is that when comics you respect come up to you and tell you this is what you need to do, if you do that thing, they will continue to give you more opportunities and continue to do. Because,
like, heed the advice of the people that know what the fuck they're talking about.
And look, you're going to get shit tons of advice. Most of it's bullshit in comedy. Rocky Dale Davis did a post recently. Please read it. It tells you exactly, in which he says, everything that anybody tells you about comedy is bullshit. And he's right. But if somebody who you respect and is working a club you want to work gives you advice on how to get into that club, for instance, you take it. You want to... you know, do a certain thing that comic has done and they're telling you how to do it, you do it. If a comic's telling you, like, what to do with your career, where to move, how to do your comedy or whatever, then maybe it's bullshit, you know, depending on the comic, but I don't know. I just took the advice a lot and I really worked and I tried hard to, like, you know, my first few years, I, like, tried to write a new 10 minutes every single week. Yeah. And now I can crank out material pretty fast, but I think it's because I feel like I crank out material relatively slow anyways, even though people think I do it fast, but...
Well, by your own standards.
By my own standards, I think that, you know, I had to work really hard to get there because I had to, you know, because I was at MVPs every single week the first couple years I did comedy. I felt all this pressure.
Whose was MVPs? Was
Kevin Winnie.
Kevin Winnie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And every Wednesday, and it was 4 book spots, so 4 people were booked.
Right.
And they got paid.
Right.
And then in between every book spot, he'd pull a name out of the hat. And you could put your name in the hat at the beginning of the show.
That's how he did that Filipino restaurant, too. What was that place called?
I don't remember. It was down the street from that Hawaiian place that does karaoke.
Warm Springs.
Yeah, it was on the Sahara Decatur.
Sahara Decatur,
yeah. It was in the shopping complex, the same one as Aloha Kitchen over there.
But he was doing it the same style when I first met him. Yeah,
which is a great style because it, like, encourages people to come out, but also, like, he also had a rule where if you brought 5 people, you automatically got to do time. And you won $50 and a bottle of booze if you won the contest, which was, like, a great setup for a bunch of fucking drunk young comics. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. There was a rule you could win 10 times. I was the first comic to win 10 times. First and only comic to win 10 times because the show's over. But
that's get in, get your accolades, and then get the show canceled. That way you get to keep the record.
Canceled it after I left.
I will say the greatest thing that ever came out of me doing that show was meeting Val. Val was like the first
Val
person that came up to me and like recognized me and was like, "Oh, you're Ian. I've been seeing you around." She gave me a hug. She was the first person in the state of Nevada to hug me. Like,
sit down and think about the fact that Val comes out to a comedy show every single night. She doesn't have to work.
Right. Every night. Every
single night she doesn't have to work. Yeah. She gets up, gets in her car, drives down to a comedy show, sits in the front row. Takes pictures of all of us like she's our mom. Like, she is... I want to cry right now talking about her because I love her so... She is just one of those souls that is so pure and so wonderful. There's a couple other people. Andrew and Liz. Shout out to Andrew and Liz. They are truly genuine people who I wish I could hang out with outside of comedy because I really just enjoy their energy. They're wonderful, loving people who love us. Like, they love us. They and I watch Andrew and Liz watch me do jokes that they've heard me tell probably 50 or more times and still laugh at it as if it's the first time they heard it. Like, they're the best people on the planet. We're very fortunate in our comedy scene.
Well, I like that about comedy. Like, I mean, just watching you do bits over the last 3 days, I've seen how they've changed and, like, sort of tempo changes and cadences and all that. And, you know, to me, that made it that much more interesting and that much more funny and just entertaining in general. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like that's kind of a bum rap for comedians because, like, a band, like, you're gonna go see a band, are gonna play the same fucking 20 songs. You're like, I love this song, but a comedian, like, these are my jokes. But people don't recognize, and I'm switching it, and I'm going off the crowd a little different. So you're molding and melding the song, or I'm sorry, the joke. Right. You know what I mean? And I think
Lindsay Williams and I were talking about last night, and that both her and I both did music before we did comedy.
Yeah, and you said you're a drummer, right?
I would not call myself a drummer. I drummed for like a year. I could do like 3 different beats, and I played with I jammed with a metal band a bunch.
Yeah.
Which jamming with a metal band is just doing double bass and being able to keep 1/4 time. Like it's nothing.
Pretty much,
it's nothing.
Yeah.
So it was easy. But I sang my whole life. I did, and Lindsay and I were talking about. I don't know what Lindsay Williams' Instagram is, but find me on Instagram.
Oh, Lindsay, who was on the show last night.
Yes.
Yeah. Shout out, Lindsay.
Her and I both did music before. Williams, right?
Lindsay Williams. Yeah.
We both did music before, and we were kind of talking about how I think it's because comedy lets your ADHD thrive creatively, whereas other arts require you to be focused.
Right.
In music you kind of have to play the same instrument over and 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 over, and it just never resonated with me the way that I can tell the same joke 35 times, but nobody has ever complained that I tell it differently every time.
Right.
Nobody has ever complained.
Right.
I can tell it. People have complained when I don't tell jokes, but I can fucking tell.
Yeah,
the
I'm
same
bummed
joke.
you didn't do the chicken wing joke.
I know I didn't do it all weekend. I know.
You did do the alien xenomorph joke, and
I did it once and I only did it after you told me about it.
I know. You know what? And respect, because I was like, when you were doing the bit, I was like, I think she might be doing this just because I.
And I did, yeah. Because if people tell me, tell me hey, you used to do this bit and I like it, and they like it, I want to do it for them.
Yeah, man.
And I'm not.
It's the band, they're like, we love this particular song. We'd be like, oh, we don't do that song anymore. Yeah. Although I can't talk shit because my band, there's songs that we wrote back in the early 2000s. That
you're like, nah.
Well, no, we just don't play them anymore because we've had such. The band started as me and Neil and one other guy on bass, and then it's just grown into this thing. And over the years, we've gained more players, and we've written new stuff with those players. But there's just stuff that just got left behind.
Yeah.
And people are like, hey man, can you play this off your first album? We're like, we don't even fucking know how to play it.
We don't know that song.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I hate to disappoint you. You're a band, you don't even know your own songs. I'm like, me and Neil know it. I guarantee that. Me and Neil could play it. Jason, Birch would. But anyway, that's sometimes stuff just gets put behind you, and you just gotta move on.
I mean, and I don't think that I've grown out of any of my jokes. I am more mature as a comic than some of my jokes. I think I am evolving. I can feel myself evolving as a comic. I'm a pervert. I'm fucked up in the head. I'm always going to talk about, sex and genitals because I think about sex and genitals almost 24/7.
Yeah.
And it's not like people, and that's the thing.
Just like everybody else.
Well, that's the thing about females in comedy is because I'm a comic. If I was a clean female comic, it would never be brought up. But because I'm a female comic who talks about sex, everyone wants to be like, oh, you're like Amy Schumer and Sarah Silverman, and it's like. No, we're all just women.
Right.
We're all just women who do comedy.
Right.
That's the only thing that we have in common. That's it.
That's it.
The end.
The end. That's what that girl, the stripper that did that open mic at the Dive that one night. She comes up to me after my set, and I'm not even aware of it, that I have this accent, kind of a country accent or whatever. And she's like, oh, you got this whole Larry the Cable Guy thing going on. I'm like, I didn't say anything even close to what Larry the Cable Guy does. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I have an accent. Yes, I have a baseball hat on, but,
It's so, the thin line of relativity for people when it comes to pop culture, how quickly, I get constantly, people tell me all the time I look like Khloe Kardashian. I'm like, have you seen Khloe Kardashian? Do you see one on my face? I'm not unaware that Khloe Kardashian and I have similar facial features.
Okay.
We have similar facial features.
A little bit, yeah.
When I had longer hair and it was blonde, it was way worse.
Okay.
But even now, I still get it. Although now that I've shaved my head, I get Amber from Teen Mom a lot, which is upsetting. Shout out to TikTok who keeps telling me I look like Amber from Teen Mom, which is my favorite Teen Mom, by the way. So if you're going to pick a Teen Mom to tell me I look like...
I don't even know. I stopped watching MTV I think 93, 94. They just stopped playing videos.
I'm a real basic bitch, Ian. I love reality TV.
You are the rosé of people. You that blend.
I love reality TV. Love it.
Yeah. Now, no.
Not as much as my mom. My mom loves reality TV.
That's kind of a broad sweeping statement, though. Because, if you watch my boys on Barnwood Builders, right?
That's reality TV.
Yeah. Shout out to them. That's reality TV. But those guys, it's not drama.
No.
Shout out Graham Ferguson and Mark Bowe.
And to be fair, most of the reality TV, I like competitions. Specifically, I like cooking competition shows.
Yeah.
I watch a massive amount of Food Network. Anything talent competition, I watch it. World of Dance, America's Got Talent, So You Think You Can Dance, American Idol, Voice, I watch all those. My mom is more of the Real Housewives, Love and Hip Hop kind of crowd with reality TV.
Right.
And I'm more of my 600-pound life intervention side of reality TV, where I like to watch like
Yeah.
things I find interesting, whereas my mom likes to just watch people beat the fuck out of each other.
Yeah. So you guys basically it's white trashy type
We're
stuff.
very white trash.
I got you. No, it's all
We're
good.
super
You
white
know?
trash,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm not calling myself better than anybody, but as far as reality TV goes, yeah, like I love Anthony Bourdain's stuff. Do you remember Insomniac with Dave Attell?
Yeah.
Where he would go from town to town.
And that's
Yeah.
almost reality TV.
Yeah, I think so. He had to do a little bit of stand up at first,
Yeah.
and that's kind of where we're trying to go with this thing right here. Is like hit a town,
Do some comedy.
definitely not on David Tell's level. I would never even insinuate that, but like, well, not yet, but we can dream, right?
We can all dream.
We can all dream. It's like you said the other day. You know, I was like, I don't know if I'll ever be a headliner, but you were like, do you want to be a headliner? I was like, yeah. Vince, you're like, quit fucking saying shit like that.
Yeah,
It's
man.
just sound advice.
Ariane Phillips is the one who taught me that. You know,
Yeah.
I used to say shit all the time, like, well, I'm not.
Ari, oh my god,
Yeah,
dude, fucking A, man.
I got to see Ari last month. He came out to a couple of my shows while I was in, actually a few weeks ago. I was in Denver 2 weeks ago.
You know what? That's a guy I would love to get out here, man.
You should bring Ari out
is
here.
a fucking trip, dude. I loved him.
And
man.
he would do great out here. They would love him. He's so
Yeah.
funny. But he used to tell me all the time, he'd be like, well, what do you want to do with comedy? And I'd be like, I just want comedy to be my job. And he'd be like, no, fuck that. Like, you're not committing to a goal because you're afraid you're going to fail. Like,
Right.
And it is a true statement. When we say things like, oh, well, I'll never have a Netflix special, you're only saying that because it's something you want and you're not willing to tell yourself that you want.
And maybe you're scared that you're not willing to do the work to actually get it. I mean, can
Exactly.
you imagine how much work it takes to get to that place?
So much.
You have to put yourself in that spot.
Which is why I told you this is where my comic shit talking comes. If you're like a comic and you want to talk shit about how hard comedy is, or like what the fuck you got going in comedy, and you like, I work so fucking hard. Like, I work all the time. I don't have any free time, and I bitch about it a lot now because I'm very tired, and it's been a tiring 2 years. But I'm very happy. But there's so many comics who want to bitch about comedy that don't even work hard enough to know if it works for them yet.
Sure,
I'm not
yeah,
saying that
yeah.
they're not good comics. I'm just saying, like, you haven't even worked hard enough to know if you're good at comedy yet.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have to, it's got to be, it's a trial and error process like anything else.
have to be
I know
patient.
that it's easy to get frustrated and
You
say,
have to
fuck
be
it,
patient.
You know, but
No booker is sitting around going, man, that comedian is genius.
right.
I'm never going to book them.
Right.
Never!
Right,
If
yeah.
the booker sees you and you do well, guess what's going to happen? They're going to do everything in their power to book you.
To get you, yeah.
Because guess what? Every single night they have to sit in their office and listen to shitty comedy that they don't want to hear.
Right.
So all they want to do is get good comics in.
Right. I love the whole, like, the contrast between, like, being a comedian and being a booker. And, you know, a lot of people, it's almost like there's this, like, unspoken beef that goes on. But it's like, it's not like that.
Well,
you know,
it's decades deep, though. That's the thing.
Yeah,
Is because
yeah.
I work with a
Bookers
lot of
try to
bookers
fuck
that
comedians
are
over.
trying to fuck me over,
Right.
and you know, because I'm a producer, I can tell when somebody's trying to fuck me over and when somebody really just can't afford to give me what I need. And there's those are two different things. Some comics just take it, like, if, you know, some comics would look at, you know, my paycheck for this weekend and be like, what the fuck? But that's like, that's me. Like, I talk to those comics and they're like, oh, I turned down this gig, it's $1,000. I'm like, the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
Yeah.
that $1,000 is also 45 minutes of stage time, which is going to earn me more thousands of dollars later down the line. I don't know. I think about it differently. Maybe I'm fucking part of the problem. I don't know. My point was...
I don't know, Jaws. I think you're part of the solution. I think that you have...
My point is
a lot
that
to offer.
that what you're talking about is bookers used to carrot dangle. They still do. Just don't work with those guys. There's a million bookers around the country. If you don't like the way a booker's treating you, stop working with them and work with somebody else. There's a comic they can replace you with, and there's a better booker that you could work with.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's solid advice, yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Now, what did you... we'll probably have to wrap this up soon, not because, like, I'm not having, like, a bad
I'm
time
having
or
a
anything,
great time. I'm
but
drunk,
I'm getting
though.
drunk.
I'm so drunk.
And we can't have the fan on because of the sound,
We're
and
so
I'm
hot.
fucking sweating my balls
I'm sorry if I
off.
ramble to anyone
So-
listening. I'm drunk and I'm having a good time, and I've been with Ian, like, alone most of this weekend, so I'm just used to talking and not having consequences to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I'm just rambling. I'm sorry.
But we've had a blast. I mean, I've actually had a really, really good
been a
time
good
hanging out with
time,
you, and I feel like you did big things here in this little part of the country. You know what I'm saying? I think Jozalyn Sharp's name will be resonating out. And also, a lot of respect to Dwayne Duke, who came out from Cleveland.
He absolutely destroyed it last night.
He killed it last night. To be honest, like, when he was doing that hand job bit, I mean, I typically don't swing that way, but I was like, I'm kind of curious about Dwayne Duke's hand jobs at this point.
I'm not curious about anyone's hand jobs.
No, I was like, I don't know.
Do you really think anyone's? That's a whole other subject. I was about to
You're
say,
right.
dude, I don't think
that's amateur hour bullshit. I thought it would be funny to say, but it's
okay.
not.
Let me just be full disclosure. I give a fantastic hand job.
Okay.
And I know this because I have been told so by my husband.
That's tough to do, too.
My husband, I'm a good Catholic, it's my husband, but also, I don't think any dude on the planet, I've heard too many dudes joke about how they don't want hand jobs to know that no one's ever wanting a hand job.
Yeah, the last one I got was horrible.
To be fair,
Just
I did meet a
terrible.
dude one time where he did tell me after a show, and when I was doing some crowd work with him where we talked about hand jobs, he did tell me after the show he prefers hand jobs over blowjobs. And his reasoning kind of made sense.
What did he say?
Well, he said he's not willing to, he doesn't like eating vagina, so he feels like he can't even enjoy the blowjob because he feels too guilty. Which, look, I'm bisexual, I've eaten vagina, I can tell, I am one of the women on the planet that will say, look, if you're a dude and you don't like eating vagina, then you just need to find a chick who doesn't like to have her pussy eaten. They're out there.
I feel like if you're getting into eating vagina and you think it's gross, you're in the wrong part of the vagina, right? I mean, seriously, like doing.
Ian, I just don't think you've caught a bad one. There's bad ones out
I've
there.
seen some bad ones, but look, I mean, like when I'm doing my thing, like I'm up top, I'm up here under
You're
the
right.
little fold.
You're
I'm
right.
not down in the fucking.
You're
know,
right.
And I know you do the joke about the xenomorph,
should be.
and I was there. I did that when I in my teens, my early 20s. That's what I thought it was about. I watched enough lesbian pornography to where I figured out, oh, you're in the whole wrong spot.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I figured that out. So anybody that doesn't like giving a woman head is doing it poorly. They're doing it in the wrong spot.
Yes, but to be fair to all those people, one traumatic experience is all you need.
It's all you need, yeah.
It's all you need.
You just get that.
Just a slightly brown piece of toilet paper caught in a vagina lip is all you need to be changed forever.
What's the salt all about? He's like, oh shit, yeah.
You know what I mean? No, so like,
I get it. Yeah,
I'm not one of those feminists that like, if you don't like eating pussy, you're a misogynist. I'm just one of those people that's like, look, we all have had bad hookups that have changed what we like sexually forever. Yeah. You've had a hookup that have made you go, I'm never doing that again. I've had a hookup where I've been like, not my thing, you know? Mm-hmm. I don't like fucking in public. No. I like fucking in bed. I like fucking in bed where God intended us to fuck.
In the bed. I think originally, though, people were fucking like in the woods.
Well, they were fucking in their version of their bed.
Yeah, that's where they slept. But do you think, like, okay, do you think that people back in the day, like, let's say we went from monkeys to Homo sapiens, right? Do you think that those people were like, here's where we sleep, but we also go back there to fuck?
Well, what's the old hit her over the head, drag her back to my cave? You don't drag her back to a bush.
I would just think, like, I mean, it was, yeah.
Well, let's argue.
At what point?
Look, I'll argue this scientifically with you. Let's imagine that you're a Cro-Magnon man. Your entire life is about survival. Your only genetic predisposition is to hunt and fuck. Right? You find a mate, you have a mate, you're out hunting, you see a mate, right? You know that she's there, you're ready to take her as your mate.
Sure.
You knock her over the fucking head, and you want to mate with her. Are you going to do it out in the open, where all the predators are?
Oh, you're talking about because there's animals that will come out and kill you.
Yeah.
While you're... Maybe that's how...
Our predisposition to fucking in our bed, I think, comes from, like I don't want to get chomped up by a T-Rex.
Right. But maybe...
Which is the wrong, I know.
Maybe
don't get mad at me,
Cro-Magnons had kink shit going on, too. They're like, I'm going to fuck this woman right out here in the open, right where that woolly mammoth is staring at me. You know what I mean?
Nothing turns me on more than Stegosaurus breath. Yeah.
You're just staring at the woolly mammoth, like right in the eyes, and you're like, yeah, do something.
I can't even let my cat
I'm going to come
watch
over
it.
here with a fucking spear and try to kill your ass.
It really bothers me when my cat's around. When Lindsay was telling that joke, I was like, oh,
I but know the cat watching her fuck.
It's like, I just know how exposed you feel when your animal's watching you have sex.
I was on top of a woman one night and really just killing it, and her it was a German Shepherd had snuck into the room,
fully eye contact, so much eye contact.
Stuck his fucking nose in my
your
asshole.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just like, beep. I'm not gonna lie.
I
wasn't totally against it.
Felt kind of nice.
I was like, oh, okay, no.
Totally okay if you let a dog do it again, then you're gross. But if you let a person do it again, then you're just kinky.
Yeah, just like, hey, you put your nose there next time. No, actually, that did happen, but I wasn't into it at all. I was like, get this dog the fuck up out of here, please. You know.
Now, there's nothing more startling than having your asshole touched when you didn't think your asshole
by
was
a
going to be
cold, wet
touched.
dog nose. Yeah, that's right. And especially because he like exhaled.
Yeah, so you felt air
out
in
of
your
his nose. I was
butthole.
like, whoa, shit.
I'd probably immediately get soft if I was a dude.
I was.
You were
I was
alright.
in it to win it. It was like it was one of those times like you're fucking and it's like you've needed that for a while. And I was like, no dog's nose.
Fuck, I never went that long, Ian.
Me.
Ian, I never went that long.
Well, you know.
I'm a woman.
I had some
though.
holdout situations.
I'm a woman.
And I just for a long time.
You're also a gentleman.
I try.
I'm not.
I try.
Shout
But I was
out
just
to-
in a spot to where I wasn't throwing game out and whatever. And then like when I kind of got sort of out of that funk, I was just like, I need to get fucking laid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that first...
No, there's been times where I've like, for me, it's always been like, I've been a big like get under him to get over him person my whole life. So anytime I've been in a breakup, I've been like, that's when I'm like, I have to
gotta
fuck.
get some of that new
like,
dick, yeah.
I feel like the predator. I'm
I'm maybe a pussy or whatever, but like I just sort of go into
No,
this like remission, you know, and I'm like I'm just gonna chill for a while.
Don't spew that toxic.
But then when I come out of
masculinity
it, like when I get out of that funk, and last year was like a really bad one, but when I get out of that funk, I'm just like, oh, I'm ready to fuck. And literally no dog's wet nose or how much air he blows up my butthole is going to stop me from getting this fucking nut off. You know what I mean? And just shout out, like, you know, people say, like, oh, rebound, you know, oh, you're on the rebound, whatever. Like, it's a rebound fuck. Ladies, if I'm on the rebound, you're going to want to get some of this. Because that's me at the top of my game right there, you know? So...
This motherfucker's acting like sex with him on the rebound is like Furbies in 2004.
What's a Furby?
You
Is
remember?
that the little thing
Do you
that
not remember?
records shit
Yeah,
and talks?
and you couldn't. And they like during Christmas they would like sell out of them.
Yeah. You know they can't have those at the Pentagon.
Yeah, because they record,
They record shit. Okay,
yeah.
so yeah, I've heard that.
I had a Furby. They were the fucking creepiest
That
toys
is
on
weird.
the planet.
That's weird.
They're
I
the-
thought Cabbage Patch Kids were
You
weird
think
though.
toys are creepy? Wait till you're just like in the middle of the night and you wake up and you just look over and your Furby's staring at you and it goes ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
And you're like, no.
I'm not about that.
I have talked to 4 other young women who tried. I tried to smother my Furby. I wasn't very smart.
Like kill it?
I tried to kill it.
Smother it with a pillow?
Well, because here's the thing: is when you cover their eyes, they think it's nighttime, so they will go to sleep. But I kept covering his eyes, and he wouldn't go to sleep, and he wouldn't go to sleep, and he wouldn't go to sleep. So finally, I just sat on him with a pillow over his face, and he still didn't go to sleep.
Oh man, I can't get down with that type of shit. Mannequins freak me the fuck out. My mom in her basement at one point, she had like the thing that you sew the dresses on.
Yep.
So it was a mannequin, no arms,
A bust.
just a torso.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would walk into her basement and I'd just be like, fuck that thing. You know what I'm saying? In a Furby, yeah, I would have absolute nightmares over some shit like that.
Furbies
I can't
are
fucking
terrifying.
take it. I have this. It's not a reoccurring dream or nightmare, whatever you want to call it, but it's this thing that happens in my dreams sometimes. I'll feel this like weird presence behind me, and then when I look, it's a mannequin. But like, do you remember the Structure, that store that was in the malls? Like, the Structure might have gone out of business before you were even born. But they're
Well, we're only like 10 years apart, buddy.
yeah, I get that, but still,
Yeah, you're
business
right.
can go
You're
out of
right.
business
You're right. You're
in
right.
10
Right.
years.
I don't
But their
remember anything.
mannequins were like these granite, like no face. They had no fingers. They were just kind of these weird, like blocky.
Okay,
you know?
yeah.
And I'll feel this like presence behind me in a dream, and I'll turn around. It's one of those mannequins, and it's just kind of in a weird like position. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It freaks me the fuck out, Jozalyn. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So Furbies can go fuck themselves, all
'Cause
shit
they're
like
mannequins
that.
that
You
can
know?
talk?
Yeah, they're little furry fucking mannequins that can absorb knowledge. I mean, that makes it even creepier, you know?
Although
But-
there is a lady, I will find her. Find me on Instagram, and I will post about her eventually. She's on TikTok, and she has a little robot that she made, and he's the cutest little robot, and he gives fist bumps. He's really cute. He's really tiny.
She made the robot.
I think so.
Okay.
She programmed him and stuff, I think. What I'm gathering from the TikTok is she either made the robot or has made the programming that runs the robot, but he's
Okay.
just like a little guy with 2 little eyes that are so cute, and he's very cute, and I'm sure he's going to murder me someday
At some
when the
point,
robots
yeah.
take over. But look, when the robots take over, anyone who acts like us doing anything right now is going to stop the robots from taking over does not understand how the world works. Like,
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of people are focused on the robot thing, but they're also getting ready to start making dinosaurs again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're basically fucking ourselves on all fronts.
Can
Like,
anyone,
why don't we just build the things that can get smarter and kill us,
Why-
and build the things that obviously
why are
outgrow
we
us?
doing any of those things with climate change and all these other things? Like, that's my other
I don't know. I'm excited though.
This, by the way, West Virginia is the only place I've been to across the country that people are really weird about recycling. Everyone here is really weird about recycling.
What do you mean weird?
Every place I went, when I asked for where the trash was, they would be like, well, if they saw that I had plastic or aluminum, they'd be like, well, the recycling is over there. I was like, okay, West Virginia.
It's really, honestly, like, it's kind of a joke.
I mean, I get it because you guys appreciate your outdoors the way that we don't on the West Coast.
Yeah.
So maybe that's where it comes from, but you would not think recycling culture is as deeply rooted as it is out here.
I think it's sometimes it's people giving themselves a little pat on the back, like we're doing this thing. But if you look into recycling and like what, especially for smaller towns like this, like what sort of like the lack of infrastructure makes it harder and more, it's worse on our carbon footprint or what have you to recycle.
Yeah,
it does more damage
at our
if you look at it.
Our apartment complex. Well, and that's the other thing is that Adam Ruins Everything, that show, they were talking about how buying a smart car, changing to a smart car from the car you have now actually increases your carbon footprint.
Yeah.
Just keep your fucking car.
Keep your car. Get that 1968 bitchin' T-top Camaro and just fucking put straight up coal dust in it and fucking whatever. Take Jenny out on a date and bang rails off the dashboard. Live your life.
I'm not going to say yes to any of those things.
Okay.
But
well, I am burning the fuck up.
Me too. It's so
But
hot.
I do want to say it's
been such a fun weekend.
It's been an absolute pleasure
Cheers.
having
Thanks
you
for
out
having
here.
me.
And I really think that the people in this area will never forget you, and we'll hopefully we'll get to have you out again.
I will never forget them.
I hope you want to come out. And is there anybody?
I want to come back for sure.
Yeah. Is there anybody? I want to thank Trini Sigler for coming out.
Yes.
She did a great job
Trini
at the Burrito Bar. I want to thank
We're
Ryan and
Facebook
Yarrow.
now. Love Ryan. We're friends on
at the
Facebook
Burrito
now.
Bar. I want to thank Paul Johnson, doing a great job bartending up there. Want to thank Seth Ellis at the Bacova Beer Company.
Seth.
And what was his wife's name?
Emily, I
Emily,
believe.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole staff
Shout out
there.
to the Kolsch beer at Bacova Beer Company.
Yeah,
it's my new favorite beer.
Yeah, that Kolsch we were drinking was great. And the whole staff there did a great job. And the guy with the knee bone necklace, like
that was Nate's dad.
Yeah, Nate's dad. Yeah, and they got a beautiful brand new baby.
Nate and Candace have a 6-month-old baby.
Yeah, and they were really great to us. And I think the whole town of Hot Springs, whoever came out, the guys from Lindsay's Roost, shout out to you guys. And then the Wild Bean staff, Roger Dolan and Julie, thank you very much. Thanks again, Bev White, for coming out and bringing some people.
Yeah.
And thanks to Lindsay Williams for coming out. You did a great job.
Lorraine, who I think is my long lost twin.
It's you guys.
Sister.
I mean, that was not a mistake putting you guys two on the same,
I'm so happy you did, because I'm so excited to continue to be friends with her and work with her, because it's very rare that you meet another comic, especially female comic, that we just clicked. Like, she fucking cracks me the fuck up. And
if you ever get the chance to do a show at Ozzy's Comedy Club in Newport News,
by the way, look up Lorraine because she's fucking talented.
Yeah, she's good. She's got it, man. Yeah, and Dwayne Duke.
Dwayne.
Cheers to you, man. That was awesome that you came down here to West Virginia. And he did Lorraine's show tonight at Kazi's, which, I mean, I love the way that comedy can work that way. I know that we're like, our cities here on the East Coast are a little more tight packed, so you can get from place to place to place. But just when I did Lorraine's show, I told her, I said, well, I want you to come up and host this particular show. Here's who I got: Jozalyn Sharp, Dwayne Duke. She was like, Dwayne? Yeah, I was like, fuck yeah. Like, and we met in Vegas, not out here on the East Coast, whatever. And that's one thing I just love about how comedy works, and about how these venues and all these, like, smaller producers and everything. And so I feel like that's pretty much it. Is there anybody you want to say thank you to?
I mean, you thanked everyone. I really, honestly can't thank you enough. I can't thank you enough for bringing me out here. And the one thing I can say is that, you always wanted to make sure I was having a good time, and that I had what I needed, and you kept me apprised of because, I was pretty much stranded at the house I was staying at, but the whole time you always told me, like, here's what I'm doing, here's when I'll be done, what do you want to do, like, here's what our options, like, you kept throwing out ideas, and, like, I mean, I can't thank you enough for making it such a good time again. I really needed it, and it was such a good time, and I really cannot thank the people of Hot Springs, the staff at Burrito Bar, and the people that were at the show that night. I mean, there was a whole family of people there that
Yeah,
didn't
the
even know
people
there was
on
a
the
show going on.
Can-Ams or whatever those are called.
Yeah. And
Ryan had a funny joke to them, man, because they're on those like straight up square old people bikes.
bikes,
And he goes up to him, he's like, you know, you guys behave yourselves pretty well for a bunch of 1%ers.
Yeah.
I was like, damn. I mean, Ryan's a funny.
He's funny guy. Chris Parnell is, as I like to call him now, because he's if you go to Burrito Bar in, where is it at? What's that town called?
It's in Lansing, West Virginia.
Lansing, that's right. Lansing, West Virginia. Go there, ask for Ryan, talk to him, and tell me he does not look like Jimmy Fallon with Chris Parnell's voice, because that's what I could not get out of my head.
And I never would have put that together if you hadn't said it.
I'd love to thank Ryan. He was so generous to me. His whole staff was generous to me. They made me food like after they had already closed the kitchen. Yeah. Friday night at Bacova, like, man, Seth was so generous to me. They hooked me up with
You got a free T-shirt.
Free shirt. They gave me,
it was awesome.
you know, and they were so sweet. And you know, the people that were in Hot Springs that came out to the show, Candace and her husband, and I can't remember the young gentleman's name who was kind of a dad. Him, like,
oh, the guy, that he was like, I don't know if I'm a dad or not. Yeah,
there was just, I mean, there was
that
just
was such a weird
such
thing.
fun people. Richard, I can't thank Richard enough. I can't thank Diva and Todd enough last night for being such good sports. Diva and Todd were really great sports. Monica too. Mayor White. I mean, just making a woman who has overcome such incredibly difficult obstacles to get where she is, laugh at some of the fucking bullshit that comes out of my mouth, was such a fun experience for me. I mean, I addressed it on stage how weird it felt, because I really do understand the gravity of being in the presence of Mayor White. And if somebody doesn't, then they really just don't appreciate what it's like to be a woman in America or a black person in America. Right. Because Mayor White's struggle is real. And fuck, if she wasn't in that audience just laughing her ass off. Like,
she had a great time.
I mean, and I cannot thank the state of West Virginia enough. Everywhere we went has been so good for my soul. I mean, I look very different. I could see older people just struggling with how I look, but goddamn if they didn't look me in my eyes and with a genuine smile on their face say, how you doing?
Yeah.
You know, hello. Yeah. And, you know, treat me as though I was just one other person.
Yeah, you want to touch my knee bone.
And I want to thank West Virginia for making me realize how close-minded I was. I saw gender-neutral bathrooms while I was here. I saw vegan restaurants. I saw all kinds of shit that you don't think you're going to see. You know, I walked into that barbershop on Main Street looking the way I fucking do, and they didn't treat me any different than every other fucking old... It was me and like 3 other old dudes.
Yeah. Well, that's... As soon as... with Jeremy... It's definitely the best haircut you can get in town. Go hit up Jeremy's barbershop.
That's why I got this nice shiny side of my head right now.
They put that dope fade on Jozalyn sharp.
Yeah.
You know. And I told them that you were coming like a month ago. I got a haircut in there, and they were just like, "Man, we'd love to go see that comedy show, but you know, we're tied up with this daughter." And I'm like, "How does one kid keep you from going out to see a comedy show?" And then you realize one kid can stop you from doing a lot of shit,
things.
You know?
Yep. Well,
be careful out there.
She was, I met their daughter and she was incredibly intelligent, so I imagine not wanting to let her out of, it was really cute though, because I got in Jeremy's chair and she goes, "Dad, you're going to cut a lady's hair?" So cute. He was like, "I cut ladies' hair all the time." She was like, "Okay." I was like, "Should I not trust him?" She goes, "No." I was like, "Oh." So yeah, I mean, I could go on and on for the people I want to thank. I mean, the guy who's working on the house that I'm living in for being respectful. And
Pat!
Coming up to me last night and telling me that he hopes he wasn't disturbing me, which he wasn't at all, because I sleep like a fucking rock.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's been like an incredibly positive experience for me all around. I really enjoyed every single second I was here. I drank too much, but...
It's kind of part of the deal when you come out here.
I mean, that's kind of...
I definitely respected that you came out here to work.
Yeah.
But I was like, we need to balance this between having fun and working.
We did. We really did. I mean, you and I joked the other day that it was almost like the comedy shows were getting in the way of us having fun, because we were doing all this stuff.
Right.
And then we were like, oh, now we have to stop and do this comedy show, and then we can go back to having fun. But... I mean, the comedy shows were just as fun, but I mean, it was almost like, it's rare that you go on the road and the daytime activities are just as fun as the show. And this was one of those trips where we were just doing shit during the day that was just a blast. Like,
sure, man.
So,
that being said, if you and Steve ever just want to come out here just on vacation, whatever, be like, we kind of have like our own personal tour guide.
I'm sure we will eventually, because he really is, I mean, he really is enjoying, he's gone on the road once now with me. where he'll like meet me where in the city I'm at and stay for a couple days, and he really had a good time last time, so I think he'll want to more often. But yeah,
well, very good, and congratulations on getting married.
Well, thank you.
And
those of you who don't know, I'm married. If you happen to watch this, we got married legally. We're still having a wedding. Fucking don't freak out.
That nobody is invited to because the guest list is already filled. That's what I heard.
Well, Ian's not invited, but that's not because.
You know what? I've crashed a wedding before. And I'm an ordained minister. So, like, I wear my garb and people, I'll show up.
Well, we're getting married at the VFW, so somebody will be upset. We'll be able to spot a minister.
What? That I'm dressed in, like, my minister's coat? I don't have a
What's a minister's coat?
I wore this shirt to the wedding at one point. I actually threw Big Lebowski references into the wedding.
Oh, my gosh.
Anyway, so...
Yeah, thank you. I'm very excited to be married. I'm very happy. I'm in a good place in my life. I had a lot of negative things to say. Those are just things that I have learned, and I've been doing comedy for a piss amount of time in comparison to people who have an actual intelligent thing to say about this fucking industry. And if anything I said to you about comedy offends you, you're right. You should be offended. My opinion does not fucking matter.
Yeah. Well, I had a blast.
Me too, buddy.
And
I gotta piss.
Yeah, me too. Let's do one more shot of moonshine before we get off here. And where do we find you on social media? Like, where do we find you? What's your website? What's going on with you right now?
You can go to jozalinsharp.com. That's Jozalyn. Sharp like a sharp knife. Jozalyn, sharplikeasharpknife.com. You can find me at Jozalyn Sharp on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me at Wizard of Jaws on TikTok. You can find me at Wizard of Jaws 00 on Twitch. If you go to jozalinsharp.com, all that shit's on there. My show dates are on there. The most accurate show date information is always going to be on Instagram. And check out my podcast. I have 2 podcasts, Metal Sucks, where we interview, some of your favorite metal bands from around the world. Last year we interviewed every single metal band that was nominated for a Grammy. So we've interviewed every band that you can think of. We've interviewed them. We fucking had Dee Snider on last year, like even like old school metal bands.
No
like,
shit.
Yeah.
Dude, I'll have to check that episode out.
Pete gets to interview all these great musicians, but then the 20 to 30 minutes before the interview, we always spend time talking about the topical, what's going on in metal today, and it's me and my BFF, Brandon Guchon and Pete. So between me and Gooch, it's just Pete trying to wrangle us in with dick jokes.
Right.
Because we're just fucking trying to, because we're immature. So Metal Sucks, and then Rise to Offend. If you like documentaries, we do an audio documentary series called Rise to Offend, and every single week we cover a different person, subject, show, cultural phenomenon that was offensive to culture, but is now, something that sticks in our mind still to this day. So
it's great. It's very well done. Very entertaining.
These last couple weeks we've been covering a very polarizing cartoonist. You'll have to check that one out. I don't want to spoiler alert that one, but I mean, we've done As They Lay Dying because Tim Lambesis tried to have his wife killed. We did South Park for obvious reasons. We just finished the Married with Children series. Yeah. So we've done a lot of things. They did Old Dirty Bastard. We did ODB. Awesome. I listened to both of those episodes. And ODB. Yeah. My favorite episode is still Peter Steele. Oh yeah. Yeah. If you're a big fan of metal, you know who Peter Steele is, and he's got a great, interesting life story, and he's just an interesting dude all around. So yeah, please check out Rise to Offend. I can't tell you how hard our producer works on Rise to Offend. I mean, he works so hard to make it a really quality audio documentary. I mean, he's like he's educated in film and stuff, so he knows how to tell a story, and it really is a good podcast. It is done really well. Like I listen to it like at work. Yeah. I mean, which is what podcast is. Yeah. You just kind of while you're on a road trip or at work, I'll put it on at work, and it's just something that's going on like while I'm doing my thing, and it's very, very it's informative and entertaining, and honestly, like I don't know. I know you and I know Brandon. I don't know the other fella. Pete is Pete is Brandon's best friend from childhood, almost. I mean, since they were like in their late teens, early 20s, they've been best friends. But I will say this about that particular podcast is that all of you obviously are good thinkers about like how things happen. Like you're educated, and it's not just some dumb silly thing. You know what I'm saying? The Rise to Offend podcast, we you might get a joke one every 4 episodes. There is some laughs in there. We are very rarely not serious because the kind of, if you were in the studio when we record podcasts, there's always an hour to 30 minutes to an hour before and 30 minutes to 2 hours after where we're just chopping it up and philosophizing about life. Right.
Right.
And those are just two people that, you know, we're the group of friends where we all have very differing perspectives on the world. But we all respect each other so much that we can't help but listen to the other. So it's a really good place to discuss serious life issues because it's a real chance to open up your mind. So I think it's a good dynamic because we do come and we're all different age ranges. We're all different backgrounds. We all have different home lives. So
Yeah. How old is Brandon? Should we say? I don't know.
I don't know off the top of my head.
He's
Sorry,
probably-
I love you, but he's old as fuck. That's how old he is.
LAF, bro.
I think he's about the same age as you, I believe.
Yeah,
I believe
old
you guys
as
are,
fuck.
Yeah, I believe you
Thanks,
guys are the same
Josh.
age.
Yeah, I
Sorry,
appreciate
Ian, you're old
that.
as fuck. I don't know what to tell you.
It's all good. I like my age.
When you were graduating high school, I was in 6th grade. I don't know what to tell you. It's old as fuck to me. Oh shit. Yeah. So yeah, check all that shit out, or don't check any of it out. I don't care.
No, check it all out.
I'm
Seriously.
feeling very at peace this weekend because I walked into the mountains and swam in a river. So.
She swam in the deep celestial waters
ran away
of
from a
Anthony
fish like a
Creek
pussy.
and ran away like a bitch.
A bitch.
From a little,
fucking
just a little
bitch.
tiny carp.
Okay, the last one was a big one. It
Yeah.
was like at least 4.5 inches long.
The
Yeah.
one with the big eyes and tiny body.
It's very scary.
Well, Josh, man, it's been a pleasure having
It
you
has.
here.
Cheers,
And
buddy. Oh,
cheers,
shit.
yeah.
I spilled
you're
on
good.
me
You're
and your
good. It's
couch
only where I
and-
sleep every single night.
I'm
and
sorry.
It's soaking wet, but
There's a whole apartment and you sleep on the couch? Jesus Christ, buddy.
I just like being where the TV is, you know?
Get a TV in your room.
I don't know. That seems weird to me.
Really?
Yeah.
We have a TV in
I don't
every
like,
room
I
in
don't
our
like
house.
to watch TV where I fuck.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, you don't have. I have a roommate, so sometimes we put on TV so we can fuck.
Yeah, see, I'm just out here living that bachelor
Yeah,
life.
you're just
Things-
alone.
I get
So
to do
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
Thanks for reminding me of that.
I'm sorry. You're so alone and lonely and by yourself. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Well, I certainly hope that you'll come back. And see
Oh,
us
I
again.
would love to,
And,
honestly. I mean, I'm being 100% genuine. I mean what I say when I say it. The one thing you know about me, Jozalyn Sharp, on the record, is I don't know how to not say what I think, which to my own detriment.
I think it's worked to your advantage here, though. People loved you.
Yeah, yeah.
And I love you. And
I
it's
love
been
you too,
great
buddy.
getting to know you over the past couple
Yes.
days, you know. And I hope.
I mean, I know you felt like we didn't know each other very well before I came out here, but I thought we did, you know. And,
yeah, well,
and
I was
now-
worried that, like, when I called you to come out here, I was like, I hope she doesn't think I'm trying to murder her or that, like, I have some huge crush on her. And, like, you know what I'm saying? I was like, the reason I got you out here was because of,
I think
of
you have
everybody.
social anxiety.
Of everybody I saw. Yeah, oh, that's no doubt. But of everybody I saw in Vegas. And everybody that I watched work, like, consistently. And I would say the show that we were talking about earlier, where it was like you and AK and Bobby and Brandon.
Yeah, Crapshoot
and what
Comedy
was that,
Festival.
Crapshoot Comedy Festival. That was kind of, for me, there was a couple others, obviously, that were very influential. But to me, that was the summation of, I just thought whoever booked you guys on that show to be part of that thing hit the nail on the head as far as like who were the people that really could represent the comedy scene, and they did so, and you guys all did so great and everything. But every time I saw you, I was just like, man, you know, Josh is great, and you were always like very kind to me, and I think that's part of just being a member of the fucking universe. You know?
I don't want to work with people who suck.
Yeah, so I really
you,
appreciate
buddy.
you coming out, and
Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me. And the thing that I can't say enough for you is that I know, based on me being producer, I know you didn't make shit off of me this weekend. I didn't know you didn't make any money.
Right.
But you made sure I was taken care of financially, and I cannot tell you how much I appreciate the fact that you sacrificed your hard work to make sure I walked away with something in my pocket.
Nice, yeah.
And I really appreciate it.
Well, you bought me breakfast this morning, so
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was all worth it. At Cook's Diner down in Hart's Run.
Oh my God! Yum yum.
So,
I didn't
all right.
get to finish my meal because I ordered all the
I
menu.
saw you
but-
still have it in the fridge. Yeah,
Yeah.
good to go. So anyway, we're going to say goodnight, guys. Thanks again to Jozalyn Sharp for
you.
being our guest and coming out here and showing us West Virginians and Virginians a good time. I guess we kind of crossed that border, but
We did, yeah.
in
They
the
got
meantime,
really upset
guys,
in Virginia when I said I had been in West Virginia for a couple days. They're like, "You're in Virginia now." I was like,
Oh yeah, no, that's a thing. That's a thing for sure.
No
you know?
doubt.
People are like, you'll tell them you're from West Virginia. They're like, oh, I've been to Richmond. You're like, Richmond ain't. It's 3 hours from West Virginia. What
Yeah.
the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Did you pass geography in 5th grade? I mean, you know, there's 50 states, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, go through the 49 and tell me where West Virginia and Virginia fucked at some point, and yeah, whatever. But so it's an ongoing thing. It's the same thing as like Ohio drivers. Like, you got to get
Right.
around them, and we went through all that. But Anyway, I've had a blast.
It was
and
such a good
I
trip,
hope
and
you
you're
had a
so
good time.
knowledgeable about your area. It was really interesting. I mean, I know some comics would probably make fun of it, but I really, truly am interested in history and facts. And
Right.
everywhere we went, you knew something about where we were, and it was such a fun thing to like always have like a West Virginia tour guide around who was like, "Oh, that's that place who so and so owned it in the 1900s," and it was really cool.
Oh,
buddy.
yeah,
It was really cool.
To be honest, I don't even notice myself doing it. Like, it's just kind of...
It's awesome.
part of
I
the
mean, I don't know
thing.
shit about my hometown. I could tell you like 3 things about my hometown.
About Fallon?
Yeah, there's like 3 things I could tell you if we drove through Fallon, and it would all be like, that's where I graduated high school, and that's where I fucked that dude, and that's where I gave my first BJ. Like,
Oh, shit. Oh, I could drive you out to where I lost my virginity.
let's go do it. Let's go.
It's like literally a soda machine, like, right up the road from here. You know?
A soda machine?
I had her... no, it was a parking lot of an old motel, and the soda machine...
That's such a small town virginity story. Is a parking lot.
It's a car wash now. Yeah. So I lost my
Working
virginity
at
in
the
a car wash. Love it. But anyway, well, let's wrap it up because I'm burning the fuck up.
I really have to pee.
And I'm drunk. She has to pee. And
And
I
we'll
need a
keep talking
cigarette.
at each other all night because we're both
I'm
drunk.
sure we will. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Whoever's listening, just keep going after it. Do what you got to do.
Buenos
Go above.
tardes. Adios.
Adios.
Arrivederci. Ciao. Obrigado.
Do you know Spanish pretty well?
I know Spanish, okay?
Can you say this? Go above, live beyond, be a stinkfinger.
I can't say any of those things
Can't
in
say
Spanish.
any of
I
that.
can say go. I can't say above. I can say think, not beyond. And I definitely can't say be a stinkfinger.
Okay.
But I can say go above, live beyond, and be a stinkfinger.
Will you do it?
Yeah.
Look him right in the camera and say
Okay.
that shit.
Where's the camera? Is the thing on top?
It's the thing on top, yeah.
Go above, live beyond, and be a stinkfinger.
Have a great day, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye. Oh my god, I have to pee.
Hot shit, Jozalyn.